Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 78 of Power Bombshells. I am Sam. That is Mel. We are not your typical broads talking about your typical wrestling. We have a lot to get to. And how are you doing today, Mel?
How am I doing? I am like putting all my crap together. I'm like, I had so much to. I'm not gonna lie. I just skipped right to the main event and watched the main event for G1
I
and stuff. I
I
know
have
I didn't
been
figure as much.
mm-mm.
I'm sure
I
you
have been
haven't.
yeah, I
I'm
have
not gonna spoil anything. I'm not gonna say
I
anything. We
have
can
not
like
been
talk.
on
But
I haven't been on my timeline from Twitter. I have been like on my
smart.
own timeline and I've only tweeted a couple of things because I'm trying my best to avoid it. We did we did get caught up through last night. Like so we've or through the the semifinals, but we did not
Cool.
watch. We haven't watched obviously anything from today. So
No,
I
I bounced around, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to get spoiled on it, and I just like went. I watched
that's
I
smart.
watched a little bit of the TMDK multi-man, and I watched United Kingdom versus LIJ,
Hmm.
which was actually had some good stuff in it, and then went straight to the main event. And though I
Yeah.
only stopped on those because I was like rolling ahead to make sure that because New Japan doesn't like it when you scroll ahead, it likes to air out on me and do all these.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm relieved. I am relieved in a way that it's over because now I have time for at least like there's enough wrestling without having a giant tournament going
Yeah.
on.
Right.
So it was like I kind of wanted to put it. I was like, I'll go back and I'll catch up with the things I want when I want to, but I'm gonna watch this main event and put this thing to bed and know what's going on, and then everyone can have their discourse and it's like, so really, I mean, it's kind of a relief because I need the time because it's getting into like Ren Fair season and we're
Yeah.
talking about hitting a couple fairs for the first time and doing all
Right.
kinds of weird
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like,
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with, and we were especially because we were behind for so long, so it took us we didn't get caught up on everything until earlier this week, like, we were constantly behind, and that
yeah,
was, like and so we were just skipping through a bunch of stuff, and, like, even on the last few days, we just basically just skipped through stuff because we just watched what we wanted, but we mainly just because or we were basically just skipping to the tournament matches and like just even some of the tournament matches we skipped because we were just like we have got to get caught up on this. And so
yep. Plus, there's two pay-per-views coming, and it's
yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
oh,
And I have to
next week
so
or the week after, and I was like, okay, phew, it's 2 weeks. It's
yeah.
not.
That's
It's
why I
2 weeks
was
from
like
today.
that's what I was me and Nikki keep saying. They're like, is Kevin Kelly gonna get like a week break before he has to are they gonna make him be on Collision next Saturday? Or are they
I
gonna
have
give him
no
like a
idea.
break and just let him be at all in? Just let him rest his vocal cords because he's been doing a lot for the last few weeks.
He's busy.
Yeah, I did see him tweet something last night about how they were almost it was almost the end and they were almost going to be back to a normal schedule and all this stuff, and he was like, but first we have the final. And so sounds like he was ready to have a little bit of a break, so it's like hopefully AW will be nice enough to give him like a week off and let him kind of
Yeah, see his family, maybe get his kids off to school or whatever. I mean, like it's. I mean, if Ian
yeah.
Riccaboni's holding down the ship just fine. It's not
Yeah.
like
Well, Ian did say, you know what, maybe he is going to be on there because Ian did tweet a few minutes after Collision ended and he was thanking people and saying that he had fun and something like that. And it kind
mm,
of made it
oh,
seem like he's done for now. And then he said, you can catch me on ROH on Thursday or on Thursday or something like that. So he might be
maybe
done for
that'll bring
now.
some subscribers over at ROH because he
Yeah.
was like people liked him and they're like, oh
Yeah,
okay, and
he's great. And yeah, my friend went because the Collision was in Greensboro last night. So a
right.
couple friends went last night. And so I know some of the matches that are coming up for ROH this week. And he said it was, he had to leave a little bit early because he had to work today. And he had to drive back home. I can't remember how far outside of Greensboro they are, like an hour maybe. Maybe it's further than that, but he was saying, but he said he ended up only missing the last two matches, but from what he saw of ROH for this week, he said it was really good. So looking
Nice.
forward to that. But yeah, I'm ready. I really want to see the G1 final, but yeah, I'm also glad that it's over so I can like
I want
not feel
him
like
to
I'm
do it.
constantly missing something or constantly having to play catch up and things like that. And we
I
like,
wanna play Zelda this week, goddamn
yeah, I
it.
was like,
Time, okay?
well, and I have to at some point I have to watch Can't Buy Me Love so that I can be on Mike and JD's show wherever that ends up. They told me I'm banned from their show
I might be in
until I
on that
watch.
one though now because we were
So
having that conversation in the first place, and I am like, I mean, that might be the one and only time I would wear a hat on a different show if we went video.
there,
'Cause
yeah, you have to.
but
And so speaking of hats, there's been lots of
whether I'm on
conversation
or with
about
like whether I'm with like that, I may be a separate one or whatever, but I will listen to it because I can't wait to hear your take on it. And I think it's so
I know
adorable
I've
that
been
it's such a funny. You're gonna laugh even more once you've seen it and how like it's just it'll be fun. It's gonna be
yeah,
so
I'm
much
looking
fun.
forward to
It's
it.
gonna be fun.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, so there's been lots of conversation about your hat there because Brad and Nikki, and usually if Daza's here early, Daza just got here, so he says the show can start now. So we're
Oh,
glad that Daza has made
welcome,
it.
Daza.
But they've been doing, they always do guesses of what hat you're gonna wear. And
Huzzah.
Brad said that you're gonna wear a wide brimmed hat of some sort, and then he said he's just gonna keep guessing that until it happens. And then
Well, who
but then he did say he won't be watching next week because they're going to be leaving for vacation. So my guess is Mel wears it next week, so he can't guess correctly.
Well, I won't go out of my way to do it because I'd love to pretend that I would remember this, but my weeks get really full and crazy. So, but I mean, I'm definitely seeking. Part of the like fun of going to fair is that there's lots of fun vendors and you can get some pretty dope hats at fair. So
Yeah.
that's coming.
Oh, yeah.
But
I can only imagine what you've got.
yes, you know what? We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Brad. So as we were talking about G1, Brad said that he's a completionist, so he endured every House of Torture match. Man, more
Well,
power to you because I skipped through as many of them as I could, except for the
you are
ones
a
that I had
stronger
to
man
watch.
than me, I guess. I don't
Except
know.
for yeah, because
No way. I haven't honestly. I basically skipped all of their matches.
the only one that I watched like I think one in the beginning. Yeah, because I knew that he beat Eddie Kingston, and I was like, "What the hell?" And then, of course, because we watched the semifinals, I did see obviously his match with Okada
Right.
last night, and so at first I was like, Nikki and I were talking about it, and I was like, they're not gonna do Evil versus Naito, right? Like they're not gonna put this in the it's like that's not gonna be it's like that's not gonna be in the finale, right? Or in the
I
finals.
thought about it for a second, but because like regardless of what happens, they've been talking about the fact that no one's like three-peated a lot throughout the course of the tournament. So like it seemed more likely that the outcome would be what the outcome was.
That's
and
true.
It just I kept trying to I was like trying to reassure myself in every possible way that it wasn't going to be Eve. I was just like, well, no, they've been pushing that. Nobody's won 3 G1 tournaments since,
Right.
Tenryu or whatever. So like
Yeah,
something
yeah.
ridiculous. Or no, it was like Chono because he was there today. Or I don't know. I'm terrible at this kind of history. This is where I need my wrestling buddy. My wrestling senpai.
I saw a tweet about it. Why did I just blank on his name? I can see his face. Why am I blanking on it? Oh, did Shibata wrestle or was he just there?
I don't know if he wrestled, and I don't know if he was there
because there's a picture. I saw a picture of him yesterday from New Japan's account, and it made it seem like he was going to be at the G1 today. I don't know if he wrestled or if he was just there.
He might have wrestled. He might have wrestled in the undercard because there were like 1,000
yeah, there always are. Yeah,
I mean, it was a final show, so it had a lot of that.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Brad. Brad said he just did a meet and greet.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's right, because I think even Brad may have tweeted about it. We might have both seen Brad's tweet about it.
Yeah, I saw a picture
or
from
him
somebody.
talking
I saw
about
the
it
tweet
in the
come
Discord,
up, and then I did see Brad saying that the internet told him he was done with New Japan, but I was like, I've just seen that he says he's done with the dojo, but he didn't say anything about New Japan, and clearly since he did a meet and greet, he still has some kind of a relationship with them, whether it's
they won't let him wrestle. He wants to wrestle.
Yeah, and so
Here we
ROH will
are.
let him wrestle.
So
But at least with ROH, like, they do keep it pretty he doesn't wrestle all the time. It's almost like a special attraction type of thing, and he seems to I think he probably has a lot of input on who he will get in the ring with, because 'cause I'm like, "You can't just trust anybody to
yeah.
get in the ring with." And that was kinda like because yesterday the rumor came out well, not the rumor came out. The rumors have been out for a while, but then there was rumors that Nigel is trying to get cleared to wrestle, and there had been rumors for a few months that he wanted to that he and Danielson were supposed to wrestle at All In, and then Danielson got hurt. And I kind of had a feeling he was gonna try to do something once that relationship with Progress got announced. I was like, I feel like he's probably trying to get cleared, and so they were saying that he has not yet been cleared. It sounds like he's working on it. They were talking about how like his last match was against Stevie Richards on like TNA Explosion, and I was like, I can understand why he might not want that to be his final match of his career. And they're like, listen, he's like, I saw what you did for Sting. Sting came back and has got to rewrite his thing. And I was like, and I think if Nigel decided to wrestle again, if he was cleared and all that, I was like, I think he would probably be very particular about who he wrestled. Probably, I was like, Danielson is the closest person who has experienced very similar things. Well, next to Shibata. So I was like, I would assume it would probably be maybe 5 matches, maybe 5 people that he would trust to do it. And I was like, and that's still, and I was like, I mean, you think of Shibata, he trusts Orange Cassidy to take care of him and he wanted to wrestle him. So I was like, that speaks a lot about Orange Cassidy. So I was like, but I still think if Nigel gets cleared, it would probably be like, I don't see him wrestling. He probably wrestle less than Sting does.
Yeah, which is wise. And
Yes.
I mean, because of the ability of the wrestlers at that company at AEW, they have talent that can actually take care of some of these guys. That I mean, it's just that like Sting came into the ring and started doing all this stuff, and everyone else was like, "Why can't I do it?" And then Danielson and people like that started getting cleared, and it was like, "Well, I want to come back. Why
Yeah.
should I sit on the sidelines
Right.
too?" And the problem is that guy is diehard, so you're gonna have to like dealing with Shibata is gonna be like managing him,
Right.
managing himself because he
Right.
will like a guy like that doesn't care that he almost died.
Right.
He's still, especially if he's back into the. I mean, I don't know. It's guys like that. They're so committed that it's almost like that's the Warriors' way to go. I mean, it's just like
Yeah. Right.
whatever, but it's you got to
It's
watch
the
out for that.
mentality, and they have
Gotta
to
watch
change.
it. That's I mean, you just gotta
Yeah.
temper that a little bit.
Right, right.
That's
And
a tough challenge.
that's a place where Tony is gonna may have to step in and be like, you and protect him from himself. Because I was like, I get that you trust the wrestlers and you have to because they know their bodies better than anybody else. But in that situation, you have to make sure that they're listening that their that their brain that they're listening to their head and not just going off of emotion and heart and wanting to be in the ring. And if they're because some people just have the mentality like if I die in the ring, I die in the ring, like that's the mentality
Right.
that they have. And sometimes you have to protect them from themselves, and that would be a case where I think Tony's got to be like, listen, I'm not doing, like, I'm not going to approve this. But hopefully Shibata is smart about it and does, and he seems to have been so far. Like they don't overuse him, and sometimes he's just there as a judge for the Pure Rules matches and things like that, so they keep him on TV, and so it seems like they're careful with him, and so
And
hopefully
he's
they'll
certainly a presence you want in your locker room in terms of like knowledge and
right,
I mean he knows
exactly.
how to teach because that's what he's been doing for all these years.
Yes,
So
yeah, exactly, exactly. And Daz was talking about Nigel that he said they had an awesome 5-star match in Liverpool for ROH, so there is history there. Sad it won't happen. Yeah,
mhm.
if they're I assume clearly this is not going to be the last time that they're in London. I don't know if they'll repeat Wembley, maybe they go somewhere else the next time, but hopefully if they're both healthy and cleared, then maybe that's a match that we could see in England at some point. That would be really cool to see. Brad said Ivan Drago, if he dies, he dies, and then he said Shibata, if
Exactly.
I die, I die. Yeah,
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 right.
pretty
Exactly.
much. Pretty much.
Exactly.
Um But yeah, so that was just some interesting stuff that came out. But since we are a few minutes in, we've got some show notes to tell you about.
Ooh,
Uh
yeah,
there's a
show
lot
notes.
there's a lot going on at Fight Game Media. If you have noticed in the last couple of weeks, especially if you follow us on Twitter, or are already a subscriber, I'm sure you're seeing all of there's been some fun changes. There's a new tier. There's a $10 tier now. It's got a lot of cool things. And if you're a year subscriber, you get a discount, and there'll be some merch at some point. We know Brad said last week that he was able to upgrade easily, which is awesome. Um, so some of the shows, because of the new Patreon, we're trying to do more live streaming and things like that. So clearly, you find us every week at 1 o'clock on Sunday. And then we've got a few more live streams that'll be coming throughout the week. And so definitely make sure you're up to date on our Twitter, because you'll see that. But so one of the ways that you can support us here, support Mel and I, and just the Fight Game Media in general, is using the super chat function during the live streams, because that is super helpful for us. And if you want to throw us a couple of dollars, we will read your questions or comments. We do have our long-standing rule that if you want to say something mean, you can pay us $25, and as long as it's not racist or sexist or homophobic or anything that we deem
All the
any
hate and insightful crap.
right,
Anything
then
that's hateful or insightful, you know the stuff you're not allowed to say in chat.
right, exactly. So if it doesn't, I guess if it meets those required doesn't meet those requirements, and it's not anything that we think, if it's things that we think we can read for $25, we will read it. However, if we decide we can't read it, we're keeping your $25. So that's the
And you
rule
can
here.
rest assured that your mean comment, even though it's lost to the internet ether, was put into helping us and all the other people on
Yes,
this network
exactly.
put out this amazing content that you guys watch.
Yes.
We're getting close to having, like, one of these days we're gonna have shows more like maybe one, like, I don't know, not like every day, but
it's
more often, and there's some fun stuff.
like
Garrett's got a really fun showing. The Double G show is coming up. That's coming up, is going to be really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that kind of thing.
Speaking of shows, almost every day there's actually going to be another one today. So if you have caught up on the G1 and don't want to be spoiled, or do like I did the other day, I was watching. So speaking of Strong Style, will be live today at 5:30 on this very YouTube channel to do their G1 post show. So the other day they did their last show, and so I had it on and was listening.
Me
And then
too.
when I got to the point where I hadn't watched yet, I just muted it because I wanted to give them the view.
Oh yeah,
I didn't want to
Same.
so I was like, I'll just mute it so I don't get spoiled yet.
Fortunately, I was caught up. It was really cool, and they have a great. I love their background. I was like, oh, that is looking good. I was like, you guys
really
looking
cool.
shiny and new. Look at you back on the live stream, looking all sexy.
I know they looked it looked awesome.
It was great. That was a really great show because it was like just in time for. I needed somebody. It's so funny. You can always judge you can always judge a good podcast by the fact that you're talking to the people as if that you're in the room with them.
Yeah. Right.
And that's why I love a lot of our shows, is because
Same.
I talk to the people. I mean, obviously I can talk to them like by digital means anyway and separately, but a lot of times like that's always been my measuring stick. I used to listen to a comics podcast, and I'm not even like a hardcore comics reader, but I love those two, like the two that hosted the show so much that I would just like, it was like, and I would talk back to them all the time, and it's like, because you feel like you're in the room, and that's it's nice.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
And in here, I mean, you can use the chats and super chats.
I was just about to
do
say
exactly that.
You can do. Yeah, exactly.
Literally talk to us. But it was great because I needed to like talk at them too. So it was great.
Yes.
Really
so Colin said, speaking of Strong Style is great. I'm glad they're back live. I saw Colin was participating the other day in their conversation, which is awesome. But yeah, and thank you for coming to swing by our show. But yeah, speaking of Strong Style, Jeremy and Steven are great, and I'm so glad that they're back. But they will be back to today at 5:30. They're gonna go live. So make sure you check that out.
5:30
Eastern time. Sorry. Okay. 5:30 Eastern time. and 2:30 Pacific time. And then tomorrow, we also have Scott Edwards is going live. I believe that's at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. I need to double check that time. But he is going to be doing his Stardom X Stardom 2023 review. So he's got a big show, a big live stream coming up tomorrow. So definitely make sure that you check him out. And if you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, you can also turn on reminders so it will alert you when something is live. That way, if you are
but make sure you do the thing where it says
you're living your life and stuff like that, then it'll remind you.
And make sure you click the thing that says all reminders, or like if you want specific, you want like one or the other shows, you can do that. But it defaults to just letting you know like almost nothing. But if you set it to all, you'll actually get updates when we go live. So when they go live and when
knows about.
it's one of my pet peeves about my own channels that I follow.
Sure.
Is that, and so over time I've figured out all these tricks, and it's really it's not as simple as hitting the bell, but like if you hit the bell, there's options. So if you really want to, you know, which is great because it's us and it's them, and we've been kind of like, I mean, obviously we've been on here the longest, but you know, not bragging, not to toot my own horn, toot, but we definitely those guys, and then Scotty Wrestling, Mr. Joshi, 5-star, amazing. Like there's been so many tournaments. So we'll have the one post show for the G1, and then we'll have tomorrow. We'll have the post show for the Stardom tournament. I think it's like, I love the name of it. It's like the Princess Tournament.
The Princess of Princess tournament, and
it's so cute. It's like amazing and wonderful.
Speaking of that, I saw that TJPW announced a couple of things, and I know Nyla is going back in October to DJPW, which I do remember hearing about, but it was announced last night. She's facing Maki Ito when she goes back.
I mean that. Oh, that's gonna be so good in Japan.
Yeah, and then TJPW, I believe, is having a show. I read over it last night, but we were catching up on New Japan, so I wish I had paid closer attention, and we'll talk about it again, I'm sure. But I believe that TJPW is having another show in California, and they're bringing some women over. The Tokyo Princess Cup is what it's called.
Thank you.
And also, we have a quick note for people who are in Europe. It will be 3 a.m. when Scott's show is on, and Colin says he's going to try to stay up for Scott's stream. That's a 2:30 a.m. start time for him. And so
because he's got they both have a lot of stuff going on. The good news is, though, even if you miss it, that bell will send you the reminder. The reminder will stay on your device. You just click that little replay button, and that helps us too.
Yes.
And the best part is, if you subscribe to this channel that you're watching right now, you don't have to do anything else. You'll get all of these things that we're talking about.
Yes. And so
she better.
Yes. I think she is, because I saw her post, because Nyla tweeted and was saying something about how she was going to destroy Maki, but she still loves her. And Maki's response was a black and white picture of her pizza cutter.
Okay, I thought so. I thought I remembered seeing her tweeting pizza cutters, and I was like, it's so funny to see people's like out of context tweets and then have you fill in the blanks for me on Sundays.
Colin says if Nyla does to Maki what she did to Miyu, then Maki has no chance. Oh no. Maki is a crafty little thing, though, so
it'll be fun to watch.
It will be. Colin says his reminders are screwed up for some reason. I don't get any. Yeah, I've had some issues with that when I've done set up reminders for other stuff, and it seems like I guess it's a YouTube.
It always sends it. What it does is it sends it to my email, and not my. So there's like.
I know people who watch. Obviously, they watch on their laptop.
Google can be it's like very useful, but also whatever. So you have to like kind of go into your account settings and make it like, no, send it to me on my SMS and not on my not on my
some people, I get it, because they are on their laptop.
Because you can set it up for desktop, but then I guess it just depends on where you're watching.
Yeah, that's true.
But I have similar issues sometimes, Colin. That's why I like to try and like remember. I'm not gonna lie. I have an alarm set for Jim Valley's 1:00 Observer Live shows
Hey,
on
that's
Saturday,
smart.
so I don't forget. So that's my personal one.
Hey, do what you gotta do to make sure that you see your
Jim's
stuff.
not just my friend, but also someone that I greatly appreciate
Yeah,
his takes and his look
yeah.
in, and I mean, he's a very level-headed, one of my favorite level-headed, objective Observer
Yeah,
Live people.
he's got some really yeah, and because I see
So much more about the
I see his
wrestling,
tweets
enjoying
often.
life than
Yeah,
all the other
right.
crap. That's why I like his show the best. So,
Yeah, and and if you guys missed it, he's been a guest on our show. He was kind enough to take some
that's
time from his day a few months ago to come hang out with us and spend some time with us, which was really cool. And Jim's
and he
he's
said he would
great.
come back, so maybe we
Yes,
should have him back sometime.
we should have him back sometime. And I guess since we're doing announcements, we might as well go ahead and announce what we've been teasing for the last few weeks. And since we were actually talking about it earlier, 2 weeks from today is All In. And Mel, would you like to do the honors?
Yes, I would love to do the honors just as the person in my other side here is mowing as loud as they can. So I apologize.
Luckily, it's not picking up. At least I can't hear it.
Okay,
So
I just want to make sure.
hopefully you guys can't hear it, but I can't. So
Sam
hopefully
introduced me, and it's like, I'm like, oh, all right.
It's part of our gimmick. It's timekeepers.
I needed. That was my lawnmower entrance music for this exciting announcement that we will be doing your favorite pre-show for All In.
Woohoo!
And I can't wait because Sam has to get up early, which she's not usually into, but she was for this one. She even suggested a 10:30 start time. 10:30 p.m.
AM.
Pre-show. AM. Excuse me, God. Lord Almighty. I don't know. I'll have to look that up in GMT for y'all. So it'll be the one time it's really convenient for all of our overseas pals because it's in their backyard. So everything will be all catered to them that day, including our 10:30 a.m. pre-show for All In.
Yes.
Which we are very excited about doing.
And I think
there's even going to be a post show too.
Yes.
There's more coming on that front, and that won't be us, but keep your eyes and ears open for that one.
Yeah, they're still working out all of the details for that. But yeah, because we were originally going to do an 11 a.m. start time because the main card is at 1. And then it dawned on me while I was watching Rampage. I was like, wait a minute. 0 hour is at noon and we would still be on the air. So I was like, we need to bump that up. I was like, I mean, maybe we can get through a pre-show in an hour, but knowing us, that is very hard. It's very hard for us to stick to an hour. So I was like, let's do 10:30. Give ourselves a little bit of breathing room.
Sam loves seeing Aussie Open wrestle is that she's like, I'm willing to get up for a 10:30 start.
Yeah, so if you have missed it, I
was talking about myself. Wait.
I'm not a morning person. So I was like, but I will get up a little bit earlier that day, so I'll be prepared. So I won't be like rolling out of bed and coming on, I promise. I will get up and
that would be fun.
Maybe I'll just wear
it was really cute to me because I was like, aw, she doesn't usually get it. She's like, not that
listen, 10:30 is not 10:30 as I was like, if it was 8:30, I'd really be struggling. I'm not a morning person. I'm a night owl anyway. I have been a night owl for years, and so
we're perfect for. My sister is exactly the same way. So we are like we're yin and yang on that, and so it was kind of perfect because one of us was almost always like awake for the other one in some regards.
It's funny because Nikki and my dad are also night owls, so we're in a group text, and so we'll just be like, my dad sends YouTube videos
it's like 3 in the morning. You're all
I mean, like, and sometimes he'll know we'll be asleep, and so he'll just like. And he has insomnia anyway on top. Like he's already a night owl, but then he has like some insomnia issues. And he's like working out his medication stuff. And so like he'll send videos that like I'll wake up and I'll have like 4 videos that he sent while I was sleeping.
I mean, 50-50, you never know.
This is true. Yeah.
He had a chance. He might have caught you. It is
Yes,
like the
exactly.
other thing that's like good about having friends in different time zones is
Yeah.
that
Well, that's how we were able to do when we did the boom a couple of weeks ago, and
yep,
they were like, "Can you come on?" And I was like, "I'll be up." So yes.
hell yeah.
Hell yeah, I'll come talk about wrestling. And then I got told by James Drake because he saw me tweeting at like 1 o'clock in the morning about how I did it, and JD Drake was like, he tweeted me and told me to go to bed. I was like, okay,
Don't
sorry.
you sleep, you're making the rest of us look bad.
Yes. So poor Daza will be missing our live stream because he'll be at work. Well, I was gonna say you can catch the replay,
Wait a
which
minute.
you can catch
Does
the
that mean you're
replay.
going to be at work for All In and the whole thing too? That blows. Oh my God.
I
I'm so
know.
depressed right now.
That is sad. And Colin says, "You're in my neck of the woods, ladies. You got to get up early." LOL.
Hey, Eastern time. Yeah, Beast Coast. Beast Coast vibe ever. Let's
Yes.
go. But I'm not going to like, I really love, oh,
That's okay. Brad said, "Kath and I will be up and either over at my parents' that day to watch the show with my dad or on the way over. So I might be a little late for that one. Hey, that's all right. Do
okay.
what you got to
We
do."
appreciate the fact that you guys are here anytime that you're here.
Yeah.
We
And even if
love
you're
that
watching
you
on the
show
replays,
up.
we appreciate that too.
We just love it. I mean, any time that you can share with us is really appreciated here. So,
Yes.
I
Yes.
love that you guys are, thank you. And I mean, you can, in the
Truly.
Discord, you can watch the watch back if you want to. And,
Yeah.
we're trying to be better. Sam's really good at checking our comments. I'm not.
I have been a little slack the last couple of weeks, and I'm
But-
not on purpose. And so I apologize if you have
But
commented.
that
and I
does
have
help even.
not-
So if you have something that you want to like, shout out that you didn't get in the Discord or something, you can always make a comment on the YouTube too. And that helps us as well.
Yes.
I mean,
And I
that
promise I will
videos.
get back to, I try to stay on top of that. So I'll try to do a better
We
job.
really are trying to
that.
like, and we want to, I want to start linking stuff because, we definitely want to get those GoFundMe's and stuff in the show notes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we're working on it, guys. This is a big transition. Fight Game Media is like, it's a whole new world here, like in the best possible way.
Yes. Colin, we do have a Discord. It's actually a Fight Game Media Discord. And you can get in on that by emailing it's gg@fightgamemedia.com, correct?
It's gg@fightgamemedia.com. Yes.
Yep. And you can just tell them, just put that you want, if you want to join the Discord, you can, and just tell them that you heard about it on the Powerbombshells show, and Garrett will get you set up for that if you are interested. And for anybody,
you're someone that with obviously Steven, I know that Steven and Jeremy, you're on their show chatting with them all the time too. So that'd be great. We'd love it.
Yeah. And so I have not made my way to Discord yet just because.
That's okay. Sam will get
I will eventually get there, but there's various channels. Like from what Mel says, there's a Powerbombshells channel. I think Speaking of Strong, so I assume
all of our shows have individual channels, and then we have some other really fun. What I love about our Discord is that it's like we do talk a lot about wrestling. Of course, we have AEW and WWE, whatever one you want. We have everything is kind of parsed out, and you can mute and do whatever. But we also have a lot of fun channels. Like one of I started it. I am tooting my own horn on this one.
You should, as you should.
I am in the process of building the perfect tinfoil hat. I started our Conspiracy Corner channel, and that one is one that we have a lot of fun in there.
I need to join for that because I ended up watching I finally watched a couple of Y-Files,
and now
I watched one, a random one came up last night, and it's funny because it was called something like Mel's Hole because there's a
that's one of their most. It's one of their most popular videos, actually.
Yeah,
so it's a great one for you to start on. That's perfect.
It just suggested it. And I was trying to find something to watch, and I was like, and it just suggested it. And then
plus that's a hilarious joke at our house now.
I'm sure it is. And then while I was getting ready today, while I was doing my makeup and stuff, I watched it suggested another random one, and it was if the Smithsonian is covering up giants, the existence of giants. And so I watched that one today, and then it suggested another one. I was like, I've got to eat and get ready. I don't have time. You better watch this. But I did.
AJ and Hecklefish will snare you.
I started one so that it would come up, so I could go back to my history and just find it easier. It's the one about the secret, the secret underground community or city. His forget the name of it, but I had just started it. I listened to the paid promotion part so that I would be past that once I started it. And so yeah, I was like, well, now
Yeah,
that the G1 is over, I have time to watch.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy it, and it's fun because we all have a lot of fun. I mean, Mike Gilbert, like, and I mean, he works over there at the at the Air Force still, so we can get firsthand. I mean, he's not sharing the good stuff or anything over there because he's not allowed. We don't want him to go to prison or anything.
Yeah, nothing like that.
But he is definitely one of the one of the most fun, like Brad can totally attest. He was like, there's all of us Daza as well. We talking about a lot of this nerdy stuff. And what's great about, again, as you've already probably seen, is that he weaves the tale and then he breaks it apart. And it's not, so it's a good, like, here, it's not a, like, everything is instantly ghosts or it's a lot, so it's a lot of fun, but also the channel is a lot of fun, and I mean that's a carryover, and that's something that we all enjoy doing now together. So, and that's just one example of all the little like sub things that are happening within those channels. Like our movie channel is really active, our TV channel, we're always like switching, and you can do threads where that way you're not getting spoiled on something that's going on, and it's a lot. Viking Media Group is it's a good core group of people, so it's a fun group of people to hang with. And we really do have a channel for just about anything, and it's adorable to me that I'm in there usually, and it's like Jeremy giving food tips and the food thing, and I'm like, oh wait, tell me about how long you did the spice rub for those. I'm like, Jeremy can cook, man.
Awesome. Dawson said if I ever met Mel and Mike, I'd want to talk about conspiracy and mysteries into the wee hours.
I know it would be a mess. I think we would all be out there just like we'd be talking about Bigfoot before it was all over, and I mean, it'd be like.
Speaking of that, at the beginning of the episode, because I paused, that he was wearing a Bigfoot outfit or he had this not Bigfoot, but he was wearing an outfit so that they could go hunt for Bigfoot.
Oh, he had the ghillie suit.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Now I'm so excited because it'll be fun because you're the right kind of you're a fun nerd too.
So, I am, and I love stuff it. Like that. Yes.
I've caught that Hagglefish plushie. It looks adorable, and
it does. I saw it today, and it's very cute.
And it's like he's even got a tinfoil hat on. I mean, it almost like Bob is like, buy it. Okay.
I mean, understandable.
But you know what? That's okay because I'm supporting someone who's doing their own independent stuff, and they work really hard. And we kind of looked into his background, and he's got all kinds of production TV background, but he's doing his own thing now, and he's doing a great fun channel that has really fun.
Yeah, like when I watched the one that I watched on the Giants, this one had like 2.8 million views on it.
Oh yeah,
and I think the one that I just started, had like 1 million views on it or something like that. I was like, that's crazy, but it shows you how many people are interested in that type of stuff. Even if you don't,
that could be us one day with your help. I'm serious.
Yeah, this is true.
We could have our version of Hacklefish. We could have Powerbombshells plushies someday.
We could.
With with millions of views. That's when you can really start there's a merch level for you.
Yeah, we have to unlock that. First we're gonna get the shirts, and then we'll work our way up to the plushies. Maybe we can have a plushie of Kayfabe. We haven't. Kayfabe hasn't made an appearance in a long time.
I need to get I'm gonna use the Canva and mess around with it. I actually need to pick Mike Gilbert's brain actually for a couple of fun ways to use Kayfabe because he's really good at doing the mix and match. When they did their UFO clip, I loved that. That was one of my favorite slates on Fight Game Media. It's still on this channel. If you guys go look back for the when Mike and JD talked about UFOs again, We've gone off on a UFO tangent.
Yes.
See, this has been Conspiracy Corner.
So, before we leave the corner, Brad says, just read this on the merch area for the Y files. This makes it worth buying some stuff. Tree planting. We plant a tree with every order. Yeah, there's a subscription box that I get, and they plant a tree with every order, which is awesome. Oh no, Daza said plushies are the most shoplifted item at the bookshop where you work.
You know what? I know this. We called that's what they call high theft items, and we have to. Bob has worked in retail forever. I worked at the bookstore. We had to keep all that stuff behind hats, plushies, things like that. People, Funko Pops. They all have to be kept like behind the counter because
that's crazy. I mean, I'm not surprised that it's just that you wouldn't think that plush. I mean, yeah, I guess
it's really funny how much like dolls and the plushies.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's the resale value of it too.
I'm sure for that.
That's probably that probably motivates a lot of it. And speaking of, so Daza told us a little bit ago he finishes at work at 4:00 that day, so he'll be in time for home for the start of AEW, but he sadly will not be in London. I know that is sad.
Well, at least it's like on a normal time for you instead of having to stay up. And I mean, you'll get it in your backyard. And
yeah,
I mean, I hope that this is because of the success. Like, I hope it's successful and huge, and that it's not every year, maybe, but that it's not a one-off. And that they do decide to. Because there's a lot of interest and good fan base in that area. It's
for sure.
Yeah, and it's easy to travel in the Euro, so you can pull people from the continent and from the local area pretty easily.
And they've been waiting a really long time. You know, obviously the pandemic kind of pushed timelines back for a lot of things. So I'm glad that they're finally getting that worked out. And obviously this will just be the very tip of the iceberg, I'm sure, with what they have planned for the UK. So that is really cool. But yeah. Oh, also, I wanted to while we're talking about off-topic things, I do want to say that I saw that Sid with Kodos Crafts got the candle situation sort of in control. So if you missed last week, we've talked about Kodos candles on our Kodos Crafts before. And Mel and I guess have collector's items now. They had a Hangman inspired candle. They got a DMCA'd by AEW, can no longer sell the candle that is in Mel's hand, or at least with that label. So it has been rebranded.
That says Anxious Millennial Cowboy, if you guys can read it.
It is it's been rebranded. It's like the Virginia farm or something like that. But Sid is based here in North Carolina, so I don't believe that it's just based in that they're calling it Virginia because that's where Hangman is originally from. He actually lives here in Greensboro now. Not here, I'm not in Greensboro, but in Greensboro, North Carolina is what I meant.
I mean, I know what you're saying because but here in North Carolina, it's here in your.
So if you still would like to purchase that candle, even though it's not specifically named for him anymore, that candle is still available. They do have the Alex Shelley inspired candle. They've got the hardcore inspired candle that smells like blood, which I have yet to order, but it is on my list of things. So if you want to help them out, they are etsy.com/Kodos Magical Crafts. They do have soaps. They've got some lip balms as well. They have some non-wrestling themed things as well. And I know that they said that they are currently working on bringing back one of the fall scents from last year, and they're working on another one. And I believe they're going to have soaps that go along with it. So if you want to smell spooky, then Kodo.
I love it's my favorite time of year. I mean, Christmas, Halloween is like my friends and I. It's like Christmas for us. That's like
I've really gotten into I mean, like I've always enjoyed it. Like I'm a huge I love Christmas.
Or Halloween.
It's always been my favorite, but I've always enjoyed Halloween, but the last few years I've really gotten where I appreciate it much more, which is really cool. So I like getting into that kind of stuff, but it is still Nikki hates when people try to skip ahead through summer because she loves summer.
I agree with that. You don't need pumpkin spice 1 minute sooner than it's time.
Krispy Kreme has already started with they put out their pumpkin spice donuts last week.
Jeez, why don't they put out their Christmas decorations too while they're at it?
Right.
Jeez. You
So this has
probably do
been
have 'em. Yeah,
this
no,
has been
it's so fun.
this has been how
It's
wait, go
gotten,
ahead.
like, worse and worse, and also, again, because, like, because Bob has worked in sort of, like, big box retail before,
Mhm.
that sort of thing, he's had to do
Yeah,
the
and everything comes
changeovers and
out a
everything.
half it's
It's
everything
now
comes
that
out
he's
like
in,
a
like,
used
tires and
and
stuff, he works at a car pla like, they fix cars, like, there's
yes.
busy time and not busy time, and the rest of the time, which is also busy because people, like, need things for their cars. They need tire rotations and stuff like
Sure.
that, so
Yeah.
there's less, needing to, like, rotate end caps full of
Holiday items.
doohickeys that are, like, green and red as opposed to black and orange, but
Right.
it's amazing how we've had, like, shortages of things, but never, like, Halloween candy
Yeah.
or, like
Oh, no, as soon as I am, a huge candy corn fan. So, as soon as candy
Really?
yeah, as soon as candy
Controversial.
yeah, as soon as yeah, I didn't know that was a controversial thing until Twitter a few years ago, and I was like, "People gotta relax." But apparently it's a yeah, it's a big deal. But yeah, so as soon as candy corn is available, like, as soon as I find it, I will buy it. Like,
That's so funny.
if it comes out, especially like one of the dollar stores near us usually has it, and like they might even have it now, but they usually
They
have it like
probably do.
they usually have it in September, and so I'll buy a tub.
I mean, it's
Like I'll
August
start
15th any minute now, so it's
yeah,
pretty much
yeah, so it's
fall
probably out.
in
But
their
yeah, so
mind.
I do. So yeah, so if you that's some controversy for you, maybe we'll put that on the
It's only
start
cute
some
to me because
fights
one of
over
my
here.
best friends also is a candy corn lover, and the rest of us are like, "Bleh."
Yeah, I had
But I don't see it's the same thing as, like, the argument about, like, Die Hard being a Christmas movie. I'm like, "Guys, let it go. Just let it go."
they can't, people can't.
It's just really? Do we have to have this argument every do I have to have the "I can't say Merry Christmas anymore" thing yes, you can. I
No, I
literally do
can't.
it every year, and
Mhm.
nothing happened. I've no one's struck me down. No, it's amazing.
Yeah,
It turns out that
before that was the
you
thing, I
can
used
give
to
someone
say
a good sentiment, and they can accept it, and it
right.
doesn't have to have politics attached to it.
Yeah, and I used to even before this became like a lightning rod, like controversial thing. I used to when I was working at a animal hospital, I would just say happy holidays because it included Christmas and New Year's and
Right.
and Hanukkah and all the other holidays. Or if even I would sometimes start saying it Thanksgiving just because it usually in the vet field, I'm not gonna see because I was working at an emergency clinic. So usually when I saw you, that'd be the only time
You're
I'd
not
see you.
gonna, like
So
yeah.
yeah.
It's not like
So
the
I was
field
like,
of
happy
retail.
holidays covers all of the holidays, no matter what you celebrate. Or if you don't celebrate at all.
I like
Happy
saying happy
happy
holidays
December.
in that way, because it does
Happy
acknowledge
December. If
that
that's what
everybody
you
has an end of the year celebration
yeah.
I mean, we as humans traditionally have had an end of the year, fall and winter celebrations.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, yay, we made it through another year and we didn't die. Like,
Right.
can we be
Especially
cool with
after the
that? Can that
yeah,
be
after the
okay?
especially after many of us who survived a pandemic,
Well,
let's celebrate that.
yeah, we should actually be more open to that than ever, probably, like,
You would
being
think.
nice to each other, but,
Yeah, we
that's
want
not
to
what
be
we're
nice.
here to talk about.
No. So Brad says that he is fat and sweats easily, so he hates summer so much. And Nikki says she's a summer baby, so I don't like to think about other seasons too early. Also, I saw someone talking about Halloween in late May, and they were like, "It's too early," and they were like, "Is it too early to talk about Halloween?"
May
It's
is
a
a little
little
early
early.
because I really like summer too, just because I can have my coffee outside in the morning. I love that. I love being able to, like, take the dogs out and just sit
Yes.
outside with them and let them wander around the backyard. Like, I got Bear a splash pad, so this is,
There
like,
you go.
because he loves water. He loves playing in the water, like,
Uh-huh.
not and I
Yeah,
don't
we
want him
try to get
swimming and stuff like that because the lakes are not for that, but
yeah, we tried
he's
to
not
get
really into
Miley
swimming anyway. He likes to drink the water, but he likes or, like, chase the drops.
we bought one of those plastic pool chose cheap plastic pools they sell at Walmart for
Yeah,
Miley, just
yeah.
like when she was like maybe because when we adopted her, she was between 6 to 9 months old. So it was like that summer that we adopted her, and she didn't understand it. We threw her toys in it. if we put her in it, she would jump out. And so I was like, Miley, it's just, she is not apparently into swimming.
Yeah, no, right. Our Miley and Riley are in the same boat. Yeah. So that's Riley is my terrier healer cross. She's the other cat in the dog. She's the other gal in the thing, and she's like, okay, I see it, and they're cute, but I really don't want to go near them. And sometimes she'll like walk over to, because it's
excuse me,
literally just a flat thing that water, you can get the water's little to shoot it for people who don't know what a splash pad is. In case you don't know, if kids are animals, it's just a big flat round thing that shoots water around the outside, and which basically lands into the middle and makes something of a pool of water. And his whole thing is he likes to walk into the middle of it and drink the water. So I have to keep the thingies low. But she's just like, no. No.
Yeah, Miley's the same way.
She loves the ball. We threw the ball in there. She's like, why'd you put my ball in there?
Yeah, why is it wet now?
So that's that.
So Brad says candy corn hate is so overstated. I enjoy that stuff. And Daza said, I like candy corn and all my American friends think I'm insane. Yeah, I didn't realize how much hate it got until like a few years ago. And then
I think like what you like, but
yeah. What a concept. Daza said, at Christmas, I wish the nice customers a Merry Christmas many times and have been wished Merry Christmas by many customers of different faith. Yeah, because I think that's the sentiment for most people.
I think the idea behind the whole thing is that you're being nice.
Yeah. Colin says, not going to lie, Happy Holidays drives me nuts. It seems to be a U.S. thing. Yeah, and I think Happy Holidays, before the political connotations, was because it was to cover everything. Especially because the major holidays are so close together, and so it was just kind of a blanket in a nice way thing and not in a weird,
but just like everything else, just like the word canceler, the way that people take the word and they run away with the narrative and they turn it into something that it wasn't and it isn't at all. And it's like,
right,
that's not what that means. Just stop saying that.
Yes, exactly.
Just stop saying that word. You have no idea what you're talking about. So
yes,
I think it's just like people seek to divide us, and but pro wrestling seeks to unify us as nerds.
In some cases, because we're actually going to talk about some of the ways it divides us today. So that's a really good segue, Mel.
There you go. See, I am like, I do this without even trying, folks. This is how good I'm getting at this.
So we're going to segue. We did touch on New Japan a little bit and the G1. But I will talk a little bit about some of the, Brad has a comment real quick. He said he's Jewish and has been wished Merry Christmas so much and never cared. Have a great holiday person, no matter what holiday is coming up. But I've always done that. Yeah.
My dad was Jewish. We celebrated Hanukkah. My mom was Catholic and my dad was Jewish. So we celebrated Hanukkah and Christmas.
Yeah, I had neighbors
that grandmother used to have the kids over and they would call, this is the best. This is one of my favorite stories. She used to call it the Hanukkah bush. Because my grandfather loved the decorations and he loved the idea of the Christmas tree. And so like for them, it was just like a spectacle. It wasn't
right.
But even my cousin would die. He would be laughing so hard with me right now because he had an inflatable menorah that he would put on the front yard. It was like a little light up one that had a little light up.
That's awesome.
Before like other people were really into that. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is so adorable. Like,
that is adorable.
So for us, it was always about like we had both. And I
had neighbors who were that way. The dad was Jewish, and so they would celebrate Hanukkah and they would celebrate Christmas because that's what the mom celebrated. So that
because technically it passes through your mom, so we're not technically Jewish, so
right? Yeah, so I guess that was kind of their thing too.
And my mom didn't convert, so my God, what? We can't be loved now. No, I'm just kidding. This is a little joke. I actually freaking love one of my absolute favorite things to make, and Bob loves it because chicken and dumplings is a big thing here. Is chicken and matzo ball soup?
Yes, here. Yes, I have not had that, but yes, I mean we're in the South, so obviously chicken and dumplings is
the dumplings. He likes them better. So it's the same exact idea. It's the same function, but and he loves borscht, so
Oh, there you go.
We're in the kosher section a lot because it's one of the
Hey,
only places that you can get healthy food.
sure. All right, we will swing back to wrestling now, I promise. For
Yeah,
thank you
my
hey,
goodness.
thanks
Let's
for
go
hanging
back
out
to
with this
what Sam
far.
was saying about, because I don't know a lot about what is going on with all of this.
Well, first of all,
So
so we'll start with, like, the G1 and, we did so there were some things, earlier this week about some of the discourse around New Japan because they were mad about some of so because David Finlay got knocked out, or no, not before he got knocked out. David Finlay made it through, Hikuleo made it through, and I don't think it was I mean, obviously Evil, but I think there was somebody else they were talking about, and they were complaining about them making it through and Eddie Kingston didn't. And so it became this whole New Japan is regressing because of this. When if you watch, so I get some people only watch BOSJ, G1, Wrestle Kingdom, and like the big stuff. And so they don't pay attention in between. So I'm like, of course David Finlay made it through. Like he got
that's been the whole story of the whole tournament,
right.
is about him trying to like, have you been
Right.
watching the tournament?
Yeah, I was like, even if you watch the tournament, you should know this and follow the story. I mean, maybe they're skipping through David Finlay's matches,
Or
so they're
maybe
not
you've never
hearing.
experienced the G1 before.
Right, possibly.
I
And
guess.
then well, and then that's also the thing with Hikuleo. So even before David Finlay, Hikuleo is the reason Jay White cannot wrestle in Japan. And then obviously Finlay is the one who took it, he took him out and now he can't wrestle in New Japan at all. Because of the way it was worded, it made it so at first they were wording it as he couldn't wrestle in the country of Japan. And so we were like, oh, then maybe he can still do strong. And then they were like, no, 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 we don't mean that either. So David Finlay's got to kick him out completely. So it's like, those are the stories. And Mel and I have said many times, like, they have to do something with Hikuleo. Like, you can't have him kick out their biggest star and then do nothing with him because they did. They took him off TV for a while. He had the strong title for like 5 whole minutes, and then they didn't do anything with him. So it was like, you have to do something with Hikuleo. And so it made sense that he made it into the final 8. And it was the story with David Finlay as well. Like, that's why he made it into the final 8. And I'm not surprised. Of course, I would have loved to see Eddie in the top 8,
Of
but the point
course.
of one that they is it's hard. It's brutal. Most first timers don't go very far into the competition, and so it's nothing, it's not saying that that Eddie Kingston's not good enough to make it to the top 8. Their point is, it is hard for any wrestler, no matter how good they are, to make it in the final 8, let alone all the way to the end. And so, of course, I would have loved to see Eddie go further, but I wasn't 100. I mean, I would have liked to see him at least make it top 8, but for the stories that the New Japan is telling, and they will continue to tell once the G1 is over, everything that happened made sense. And I don't necessarily like seeing Evil as far as he got, but House of Torture is viewed differently by Japanese fans than it is by American
Well,
fans.
and they're not booking directly for, like, they're not booking to sell out houses in America. They're booking to sell out houses in Japan,
Right.
in Osaka, in Tokyo, in Oda, and I mean, you just this isn't. But even past that, like, first of all, it looked like Eddie was having the time of his life, suffering any
Right.
minute, and I don't think that
Yeah.
Eddie, like, and also it's like, well, where did you think they were gonna put him? He's from another promotion.
Right.
He's,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
there were some
it's
complaints I know about Kiyomiya getting knocked out when he did, but again, he's from a rival promotion. Like,
that one I didn't understand a little bit, because I feel like there's some, but I also think that there's going to be resolution with that, with
yeah,
Okada
it sounds like I
at
don't
some
think they're
point
they're done with
anyway,
Noah.
and
Right.
it was a
Right.
good way for, like, each promotion to get exposure,
Yeah. Right, which I think is
because
the
they're
whole
doing
point, and
more
so
crossover events. And
yeah.
so, just like with Eddie, those two people were kind of like, they were flag bearers for their promotion.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And
I
I
think I
don't
agree.
think, I mean, I felt like, even, I mean, Dave was a little hard on, like, well, they should have gone further because it wasn't, this. And I'm like, nah, because I think those people got way more exposure than you think. They did the G1.
Yeah.
People are going to be interested in their conclusions. Your
Mhm.
guys are like the New Japan guys are probably going to go over to those promotions as well. So
Yeah, and
it's
like we're
helping to familiarize people with the idea of outsiders coming in.
sure. Yeah, and
In my
so
opinion,
Brad
I
says
didn't see it as a yeah. Go ahead and read Brad
yeah, so
here.
Brad says Kiyomiya being knocked out is on Noah for not making sure their talent is better protected, not on Gato and New Japan. Yeah, I think
True
that's fair.
story.
Yeah, and we don't know how much and input they had and things like that, but I've seen that argument from a couple of people. And yeah, so that's not on and he still I mean maybe he should have made it to the final 8 at least or gotten a little bit further, but I mean, that's not I don't think that I guess people assumed they were going to do Kiyomiya versus Okada in the finals or something or in the semifinals, but that was never going to happen.
That to me is more of a I mean, that would be like a New Japan Cup thing, not
Right, and
a
well, and even Collins said that he thought maybe it was gonna happen at Wrestle Kingdom, and
that
yeah,
see, to me, that's more
that would
likely.
right, that makes more sense because, I would assume, and again,
And
yeah,
Sam doesn't know the results for
yes, I
today,
was just about to
so
say, again, for people if you came in late, I have not watched the final, I have been avoiding everything as much as possible,
so
so
just,
shush, be
but
quiet.
the idea is I would say that this is like it made sense to me and it makes sense to me and I feel the same way so it's about that stuff and about the like kids, right? About the fact that the kids didn't get out of the blocks and they weren't and they're
Right,
not
but that's
using
the
Yoda
point,
Suji.
that's the yeah, and of course, I said in the beginning I wanted Suji to win the whole thing. I knew that he most likely wouldn't. It would have been a cool story, but they're still learning. Of course, they didn't go. They
Well, people are
struggled.
acting
The
like
whole
because
point.
he didn't get to the final 8 or because he didn't get to the
I've
finals or
seen
because
that
he didn't
too,
win it. People are
but they
acting like New Japan completely missed the boat on Suji. They've completely blown it and they're
they
not capitalizing on his like star his charisma at all. And I'm like, are we watching are you experienced New Japan watchers? Like even Dave pissed me off with this week because he was saying things like that and I'm like, hold on.
that's
This
not
is
correct.
this was clearly a rebuilding tournament. This was
Yeah,
about
and it's
this,
introducing the younger guys
and those
to
guys got over a ton, whether they won or lost, and it was great example. They
because
you
people
think
are
they're gonna walk in here. You want to WWE this shit and have them walk right in here and just win
yeah,
the tournament?
yeah, that's not
And
how
that
this
means that
goes.
all the stories that have been building and all the other people and all the things
Yeah.
going on between LIJ and House of Torture and
Yes.
United Kingdom, and
Mhm.
you want all that storytelling to go out the window for 3 new kids for no
No.
reason. When
And
those kids
especially
can
and
be
the story
built
is
into the story as we go into the new year.
right, and the story is the 3 kids don't wanna be called the 3 Musketeers, they all
Right.
3 hate it. That's the story
They
that's
don't
the
wanna
story
be
of the
put together,
block.
they wanna be their own people, and
Right,
they
which
wanna
so they were telling their story within the G1 with that, and then, and people are still talking days later, they are talking about how Yoda Tsuji used his twin brother to come in and stand in for him. Most of us didn't know. I had no clue he had a twin brother and was so
me either.
confused. And then if some people were like, "Yeah, he's posted about him," and apparently his name is also Shota, and so Shota and Shota is a stunt. He's a stunt actor,
Dope.
and so which is really cool. But so people are still Suji's not buried, you guys. It's gonna
Nobody's
be
buried. Shooter's not buried.
yeah.
Ren Narita is not buried.
I mean,
Those
some
guys
people
are
had some questions. They're, commenting that Ren might not be as far along as they thought he was, and he was kind of exposed a little bit in the tournament. But I mean, he's
well,
still young. He's got time to figure things
well,
out.
that
But that's
happens
the
though. That's
point.
gonna
Right.
happen once in a while. Look at someone
Yeah.
like Sonata. I mean,
Right. Nobody ever saw Sonata as the face of New Japan ever.
and
They
now it's like we're not sure if he really is succeeding as the face of Japan.
And then
New
and it
Japan.
appears that that's a lot of non-Japanese fans who are thinking that because apparently the Japanese, from what I've
Really
read, a
love
lot of the
him.
Japanese fans do love him. Of course, that you can't. Of course, that's going to be with not all Japanese fans love him, but apparently he's gotten over more in Japan than he has in other for people who watch, American fans and, European fans and things like that. So, and sometimes it just doesn't work. I mean, obviously we look at Evil. That
Well,
did not
they're
work out. But I
Evil
mean,
was a mess, so Sonata is
and then
nothing like Evil.
part of that is because of the pandemic. The
Yes.
timing of his booking was awful, and then he did the best they could. And so I guess it works in what they're doing with him now. And he gets a ton of reaction. Um, when he comes out. I mean, obviously they're booing him and they're they're responding the way that you want. I mean, they all have major heel heat. I know for a lot of us it's go away heat because I don't really care for them either. But the Japanese fans seem to be responding to them. And so,
Well, if they're selling tickets, that's all that matters. Butts and
yeah,
seats.
and so maybe they
So
do, and maybe House of Torture just implodes at some point. But I mean, I wasn't thrilled that Evil made it as far as he did, but I mean, I'm not going to say that New Japan is regressing because of it. I mean, that's
I believe that
short-sighted, and
that's
that doesn't give, and that takes away credit. Because for the most part, Gedo is an excellent booker. He knows what he's doing. Some things just don't work out, and so maybe maybe he's trying to get things back on track. So
well, they
we will
have actual Japanese people to impress. They're
see.
not doing.
Yeah, they're
I
not
would be
booking.
like, I'm sure we know someone who could tell us exactly what the percentage of New Japan fans are from America that subscribe, and the tiny, 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 tiny revenue share that we make up and all that stuff. Is that
Right.
they're
Yeah,
trying to rebuild their thing and get people into their
right.
stadiums and
Right.
into their gymnasiums and stuff like that. So, I mean, also, I
Right.
trust, like I've always said in Gato, we trust. So I just think
Yeah,
that
and for the most part, he's proven us right. And Brad had said earlier that Gato books for the Japanese fans, and that's kind of what's here too. Is we've got this one that says the reason for booking decisions are completely lost amongst American fandom. Most American fans refuse to open their minds to the culture of Japanese pro wrestling. Right. Yeah, that's a very fair assessment, and it seems like I see a lot of it. It feels like a lot of the discourse I'm seeing is from American fans, and it may be from American fans who have not watched very long, as well, and so they don't seem to understand how some of this is booked. And then Brad said the G1 has always been about building stories coming out of it. They've built great stories this year, and the right talent went through. Right. And it's setting up for
completely
the
agree
rest
with
of the
that.
year. Because what's after G1? What's our next show? Our
They're
next big
doing
thing?
a Road to Destruction, I think they said
I
something
couldn't
like
remember
that.
what the September show is because
There's
now
a
we're
tour going on through September that will
right.
lead to the last show before Wrestle Kingdom, probably, and then.
Right. Yeah, because
But
I was like, there's some stuff coming up. I know because they obviously now are getting into basically Road to Road to Wrestle Kingdom is getting ready to start now, or it will be within the next couple of months or so. That's kind of what they're doing.
That's funny that you said that because Kevin Kelly accidentally was like Road to WrestleMania, and Chris Charlton gave him crap, and he was like, "Oh crap, that's your fault. It's all your fault."
Of course.
He also said that he blew all their money on their shampoo budget.
Well,
Or
that's understandable.
blew all their money, which affected their shampoo budget. So they won't
Okay,
be
so that
able to
makes sense.
buy any more Merit shampoo.
Damn them. Maybe they can get since they know Five Guys. Maybe they can get some free
I bet
shampoo.
that. I bet they might know someone who can hook them up.
Maybe if somebody sings them a song,
Maybe.
they'll get some shampoo. Yeah, Umino and Naruto is the feud for the next 20 years. Yeah, exactly. We see that. Yeah, definitely.
And it's great, and I'm happy to be here for it. And I've watched them do their thing a little bit they're just getting better and better, and their presence is getting better. And now they were in front of different kinds of crowds. They know the struggle of going through a tour. Now this is their first big tour. They understand.
Yes, and everybody has clarified in the comments that it is Destruction is next, and then there's Kobe and Hiroshima. So thank you to everybody who clarified that, because I wasn't sure, because I clearly haven't watched today, and I just wasn't. And last night I was like, "What is next?" I was like, "It's not Dominion because we had that." And so I was like, "What is the next show? I should know this by now. I've watched this enough, but I forgot."
Honestly, for me, it was because I always just kind of keep it on the schedule page on
There
my
you
New
go.
Japan. I have almost always seem to have a New Japan tab open on my computer that I use regularly.
Hey,
So
that
there's certain
makes
wrestling, so like there's just certain wrestling things I have open in like their own window.
yeah.
It's all my wrestling window stuff with all those
Yeah.
tabs, and those just stay up. So I kind of keep it on there, and that's how I noticed. I think they mentioned it on the broadcast on their way out. So
Sure, I'm sure they did. Yeah, and so now we were saying, so they say
okay,
that
so I wasn't sure what you were talking about but now I realized that you're talking about what has been bugging me anyway, which is that all these people are out here like New Japan is losing their mind and falling apart, and they didn't do enough, and they didn't put all these kids over. I'm like, no, they don't get to leap everybody.
right, that's
Let's
not how
get
this
it.
works. That's
See how
not
this is.
how New Japan works. And so
I
Brad
love
said,
it. This is like I thought that the tournament was, all things being equal, the fact
yeah.
that I didn't necessarily like the 4 block system, some of the things
I
are not
do
my
like the
jam, but all
20 I
things being
do like
equal,
the 20-minute time
I
limits.
I
I enjoy
loved the 20-minute
I'm
time
like,
limit.
"Please keep that, go back to 2 blocks, but keep the 20-minute time limits."
Yeah, for like a round. That'd be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, for the rounds, like, for once they got past that for, like, the semifinals, like that, I don't have a problem with, but for the main, because there are so many matches to keep up with, whether it's 2 blocks or 4 blocks, because even 2 blocks is a lot
Yeah.
when you're because
This
you're
is just
committing that
more.
time to it, so I prefer the 20-minute blocks. Colin says he hated the 4 blocks, and Brad also says that you can add the New Japan schedule to your Google Calendar, and he's had it set up for a few years.
That's
That's
good to
really
know, Brad.
smart.
Thank you.
That's very smart. And then Colin was saying he doesn't think we'll have Kevin back until Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, I don't think so either.
Me either. I
He's
don't.
busy
The
with the
impression that I was getting from the way that they didn't say anything straight out, because I'm not sure that they probably even know, but it sounded to me at least like Chris Shelton would probably be doing some, like we'll have English commentary. It'll probably be Chris Shelton and
Will they
maybe
get
someone else.
as Gino Gambino? I know he has like a day job from what Kevin Kelly says he has a real job. So I was like, I wonder if they'd bring him in or if they'd bring in someone else. Cause yeah, it sounds like I know that Kevin Kelly is doing, obviously he's doing
Collision.
he's doing Collision, but he has his own promotion that he started earlier this year. And I meant to bring this up. I think the show has already happened, but one of the shows, I just blanked on the name, but the name came from PWX. Kevin Kelly used to, before PWX is, for you who are new to this, PWX is my old promotion that randomly stopped running their last show. They did Lucha Mania in May of last year, and then that was it. And we were given through people I know, because I followed that. I went to that promotion for 11 years. So through wrestlers I know, other people I know involved in the company, PWX is long gone. It's not coming back. It's gone. But so before Kevin Kelly he had started getting involved in New Japan, I think at the time, but he used to do commentary for PWX. And so he was doing some stuff. And he even mentioned when the show was announced that the show name came from, it used to be a PWX show title. And so I thought that was really interesting. So I don't know if there will be any other ties to PWX, but they're running up in Pennsylvania. And obviously I'm in Charlotte. So that's really interesting.
Ooh,
how they,
where in Pennsylvania?
I'm pretty sure it's in Pennsylvania. I could be wrong because it's been a while
I
since
think that's right, because I think that's
wrote
where
an
he
article.
lives. I
Yeah.
believe he lives in Pennsylvania.
Yes,
so.
and I wrote an article about the first show that they were doing because it was running out of an old firehouse. It's like this historic building that apparently doesn't hold a lot of people, and it doesn't, because it's so old. I believe they can't stream shows. I believe there's like no type of it's really old. Like they can't stream their stuff. Like the only way to see these shows is to go see them in person, I believe, is
Wow.
what he said. And so it's been around forever. It's an old firehouse, and then they do like wrestling shows that they've done wrestling shows out of there for years, like other promotions have. And then I think they do like other community events from this building. That's
I
really
have to go look
historic.
this up.
So I assume that that's probably because I know his kids in school, so it might be like some of that too, and he's probably going to be doing some of the wrestling stuff, and then obviously Collision as well. So yeah, he may not be back until Wrestle Kingdom.
I feel like the way I felt at the end of today's broadcast was that he'll be back at Wrestle Kingdom. That was just my gut. My gut said to me
I mean, I
when they
don't
were
blame
chatting and whatever, and he was like, and there'll be English commentary, but they were kind of like hedging on it, and I was like, yeah, he probably won't be back because I've,
Well, I
Collision
wonder how
thing's always in the back of my mind, but I forget and then remember and forget and remember.
Right. I wonder how they'll do it because Charlton doesn't travel to every show because of his family. So I wonder if certain shows will be
And
somebody
he also
else.
works in the office. Chris Sampson
Right.
actually clarified some of the reasons why he doesn't travel is not just the family thing, but he actually has a day job at New Japan.
Yeah, he works in the
well. So
right.
he can't be traveling because he needs to be doing his
Yeah,
actual
exactly.
job at the
The company.
promotion.
Yeah. Brad said, yeah, Kevin is a local guy from here in Queens, but he moved to PA. He's a huge Mets fan. Oh, I know. I see his tweets. But I bet he didn't have anything to say because so far we have taken 3 or 4 games from this weekend, and yesterday in a doubleheader between both games, we scored 27 runs on them. So
I mean, I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I'm pretty sure I have a lot of like friends that are Mets fans, and they never seem to be very happy. So.
No, the Mets imploded this year.
I lived in Seattle for a long time, so I was always around Mariners fans, and Mariners fans and Lions fans have a lot in common. They really believe in their team and really think their team's going to win it all every year. And then the reality of having a whole season sets in.
Yes. Listen, it happens. There is sometimes the Braves were not very good for they hit some rough times, and so
I think it's a chronic illness. Yeah, but for like Lions fans and Mariners fans, it's more like a chronic illness. Like they just, around here right now, like the Lions are winning the Super Bowl this year, and it's like, guys.
This is Brian from PWX is looking to do more. His work with New Japan has taken precedence over the past years. Brian is actually not. Brian's not involved in wrestling anymore. It is, I believe that Patrick is still involved, and he's actually still involved in New Japan of America. But from what I understand, Brian is not involved at all anymore and has nothing to do with the wrestling business right now. From what I have been told, there could be some other things, but I know that Patrick is still involved in New Japan of America. And I believe he's working with. There was another promotion, was it AEW, AIW, something like that. He's working with another promotion, is what somebody told me recently. But I know that he was that last that I heard, and I ran into Patrick. Sometimes he comes to Title Belt every once in a while, and so he was in his New Japan of America gear. Like he had on like a tracksuit.
God, those tracksuits Japan are nice. America.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so nice.
I'm sure Gino Gambino probably wants one.
Oof, they're so nice in person. I got to see a few when we were at Forbidden Door. I'm like, dang, those. They're pricey, but
they're worth
one day maybe.
Colin said, I will say though, Kevin definitely needs a partner. He's not great doing his solo. I enjoy his solo stuff.
I actually think if I'm stuck with anybody doing a solo broadcast, I want it to be him and not pretty much anybody else. That would be my preference.
But I understand.
Everyone is personal preference.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I totally get that.
I was like, no, Colin makes fair points. And
I really honestly, personally think that every show and every broadcast and every sort of thing needs kind of you need a tete-a-tete. You need 2 people. You need at least somebody to talk to and bounce things off of. I think it's incredibly hard, and I don't usually enjoy, mono host sort of. It's got to be a really special reason. Something like Welcome to Night Vale, or where it's like the person is essentially reading a story and not and doing voices or whatever. But I struggle with single. So I think that it's a tough spot to be in too, because in sports especially, you need like a broadcast guy and a color guy, and we all. Even I'm sure Kevin Kelly with a background in it, I think it's probably hard for him because even he knows that he's supposed to have that. Right, and I think
that's why he seems to do better when he has a wrestler who can come out and like talk to him and add in like their point.
Eddie was so much fun.
Eddie was phenomenal. And like Eddie said, like he was having the
I see.
time
I
of his
thought they
life.
spoiled it when. Now, this is why I was not surprised, because to me, I felt
He
like they
already,
spoiled it, because when Kevin Kelly was
I
saying that
knew,
he wasn't going
okay,
to have wrestlers on, but Eddie Kingston was scheduled for this date, and that date fell exactly right after the
okay.
semifinals would have been determined and
See,
all
I
these
think
things.
I had already, I either had I think when I heard the announcement, I had already been spoiled that Eddie was out, because I knew Eddie was out because people were complaining about him being
Because
out, and that's how I
weeks
got spoiled.
ago, Kevin said early in the tournament, Kevin said when he decided he wasn't going to have wrestlers do it because of the heat being so hot, like because of it being climate crisis, and he didn't want them to not have treatment
Right.
and all these
Yeah,
things.
right. Yeah.
But I'm gonna have Eddie Kingston on 8-9
So he
or something
spoiled
like
it.
that. And I was like, well, doesn't that just tell us that he's out of the tournament basically by
Yeah,
then?
yeah. See, if I had watched
To
it at time,
me,
I would have thought the
when
same
I
thing, but
heard
it was
that, I
spoiled
just
before.
in my weird brain just sort of went, oh, so Eddie will be out of the tournament by the 9th. And I
Well, no,
was
that's
just like,
right. You would have that probably would have thought the same thing. And then Colin says that Eddie should stay in New Japan. He's a great fit there. I would not be mad if he did.
he can keep coming back
I
all he
love
wants.
him.
I hope he's
I
on some of these shows. He
I love him, of course, in
seemed like he was
AEW and
having
Ring
the
of
time
Honor,
of
but
his life. I've
because
never seen
apparently
someone enjoy pain so much.
I've seen that he apparently is coming for Claudio again, which is kind of what I thought, especially now that since Mark Briscoe got injured and they couldn't do that whole thing. But I saw something about Eddie has called out Claudio again. But I
Well, I
would,
think he did even do it on the broadcast at
yeah,
one
I
point where he
would
said so.
love if he decided he wanted to just stay in New Japan. I would not be mad at it. He's perfect for it. And
They
somebody,
definitely need to keep bringing him back. He's so enthusiastic about it. He loves it.
I have not watched the full 15-minute clip, but I did see the clip where they surprised him and he got to meet why am I blanking on his name?
Yep, I'm with you.
I just forget his name, but when they that look on his face and that smile, and he just
Henry, was it?
no, it was
It
why am I blanking on
was.
his name? But
Come on,
it was
somebody.
just that he looked so happy. I don't think I've ever like that smile, like that
Yes, I think it
pure.
was.
And it was I feel so happy for him, and now they're bringing him it was yeah, I think Kawada was right. And now he got to announce that he will be at Starcast. They're bringing him in to do
Aw,
Starcast, and Eddie got to be the one to announce it for Starcast, which I thought was
dope.
really cool. So
I
yeah,
got,
it
it's
just
so
I
nice to
hope
get to
Tony
see
just lets
him
Eddie
living
go.
out his wrestling dreams and
Yeah,
being able to like we would this would not have happened 20 years ago. So thanks, like AEW has, I mean, you can like or hate or whatever AEW, but we wouldn't be here if there wasn't a viable contender with the WWE. And I'm so
yep,
grateful. And I look at Eddie Kingston enjoying himself, and I know from him being out like open about his mental illness, and I look at, I'm like, look, that this guy, like, this is what all of that work that he does with his mental illness has gotten him, is like if he had let all of those things get him down, he
right.
wouldn't be able to be here and join those things. And I think, and I know that Eddie appreciates that, and he's, because you can tell just from like him doing the broadcast. But it
Yeah,
really hit me at one point where I was like, as someone who struggles with mental illness as well, and who also is like a big advocate for guys, like go listen to Eddie Kingston.
yeah,
If that tough
yeah,
dude can talk about what he talks about, you can be okay.
right.
Like, but it was such a like, as someone like just in the disabled community, it was such a wonderful moment to watch someone being able to live their dreams and get through those struggles. And because they work so hard to fight those demons,
Yeah,
they
right.
were able to live this amazing dream. Like, no one is smiling during the G1. Eddie was like smiling through the entire G. I'm like, it's 90 degrees. The dew point is 70 degrees. You're in a hot
Right.
place. You're getting the crap kicked out of you, and you have the biggest grin on your face of any human I've
Yeah.
ever seen. It just warmed my heart to see
Yeah,
Eddie
and
Kingston in this tournament.
one of the things he said on the tournament was, like, people were asking, like, if you're is he gonna be back and things like that. And he was like, "I don't know, but honestly, I'm not thinking about that. I'm having the time of my life right
Being
now,
present.
enjoying everything." And he's like,
He's
"So I don't
being
know, and I'm
present.
not even thinking about that right now," which I think is incredible, and I hope that Eddie gets to go as many times as they will have him and as many times as he want. And I hope that, yeah. And Brad says New Japan is treating him better than any company has ever treated him. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, and I'm happy. I'm so
I
happy
think
for him.
I think when you see a person that's like that, that cares about, I mean, this is over and over with many of the reading, at least with much of the reading I've done, is that
Yeah,
the Japanese recognize the spirit of the person that, like, when they, and it's like, oh, this is someone that understands the culture. And yeah, I mean, that guy is the biggest, like, I'd love to just sit and listen to him talk. I could probably learn a ton
yeah.
just
Back
listening to him.
when he like kept his Twitter, like he was forever just posting like all Japan matches he found on YouTube,
Yeah.
and like just like all kinds of stuff. He would post them like that. Basically, his Twitter was that all the time. Was He was always tweeting out a match from like the '90s of some match he watched on a tape and was like, "Here, go watch." And he would just tweet, and like sometimes he wouldn't even say anything. He would just post the link to it. And so you knew, yeah. And so he definitely respects that wrestling so much. And he even said, like, when he told when he was talking to him and through the translator, he was like, "I wear his colors for respect, or out of respect." um Brad said he said his dream is to work in Sumo Hall, and the last 2 nights of G1 were in Sumo Hall, and he even got the pin yesterday. Like, that's so cool. I'm so happy for him. And we will keep it New Japan for a bit longer, because one of the things I wanted to bring up, I keep seeing tweets for it. So next Saturday, so obviously it will air before our next show. Next Saturday, they're doing the All-Star Junior Festival USA. And somebody had told me that it was Hiramu's festival, but now I'm seeing it just says a New Japan festival. So I don't know what Hiramu's involvement actually is. But like every day they are revealing like amazing juniors who are in this festival. And it's happening in Philadelphia at the 2300 arena on top of that. So, I mean, that's an incredible place for this to happen. And it's like wrestlers from all over the place. Like it's New Japan, AW, Impact. Like there's some guys. I don't remember if it's CML. I think CMLL is sending some guys over. And so like it's got like Rich Swan, Ace Austin, Chris Bay, um, Kanemaru, Robbie Eagles, Jordan Oliver, Speedball, Clark Connors, Blake Christian, Despy is in it, Nick Wayne is in it, Master Watto. There's somebody named Lowrider. I believe Lowrider, I think when I saw his clip, they've listed as a wrestler, I believe. I think he's an independent wrestler in Mexico. Shun Skywalker from Dragon Gate's gonna be in it. Doki is in it. Like just these insane names. I think Cheeseburger got announced for it. Like, but then
Well,
so it was
crap. I
great.
haven't heard Cheeseburger's name in a while.
Yeah, and Cheeseburger I follow on Twitter, and so he's busy doing stuff all the time, and he's been on ROH on and off some. But he said the festival. So Brad says that the festival was Hiramu's idea. The second one they've done, the first was in Japan. So that's okay. So it was Hiramu's idea. That's what I thought that I had heard. Yeah. So I was gonna say that that's the same thing, Brad. So all these announcements have been great. Then last night I see a video, and it was like the 34th participant, and it's Enzo Amore.
Mm.
Why? Somebody tell Hiramu, please. Somebody tell him. I mean, it's probably too late now because the show's Saturday. But I'm like, why the hell? Like, you have this incredible lineup, and then he's in it. And I was like, damn it, Hiramu, New Japan, somebody go tell him. Rocky, get him on the phone. Explain this. I think so. One of the matches they did announce, according because I saw a different match announced and I apparently did not save it, but the monthly Pure Resu website has this match is called the Philly Cheesesteak Cup 3-way tag ladder match. It's a mouthful, but it's Hiramu and Rocky versus Master Watto and Blake Christian versus Doki and Lowrider. I don't know what a Philly cheesesteak cup is. I don't know if they get a trophy of a cheesesteak. I don't know exactly. Maybe I know they're clearly playing off the Philly name, but I was like, this sounds cool as hell. And it's gonna be on New Japan's web. It's gonna be on New Japan World. I assume you have to buy it as an additional pay per view. But it looks other than the Enzo announcement, it looks incredible. Like it has all these juniors that I love in it. And it says East West Express versus Now and Despy is gonna rule. Yes, Brad. Yeah, I love East West Express. East West Express is Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne. Big Bill is not in the tournament because this is a junior. This is a juniors festival, so he is not. He is too tall to be a junior. And then the day after that is the New Japan Impact Multiverse United 2 that has so some of the people in that tournament are on that show as well, and they've got this real I wish I had screenshot some of these matches coming up. I'm sure somebody is going to be previewing that show because I don't know yet if I'll get to watch it live. I hope so because the Multiverse United, the one that they did during Mania week, was really good. They had some really great matches on that card, so I'm looking forward to this one. And there's a rumor that Julia is going to be involved in the women's match now. Nice. There's a rumor that's going around, and then there's Tanahashi is challenging Alex Shelley for the title at this show. And then Sonata is not on this show. Sonata is on the Emergent show, which is the 27th, I think. I want to say Impact has a lot going on because Impact has they're getting ready to record their 1000th episode. Wow. On September the 9th, and then it airs the following week. And they're bringing in Awesome Kong is going to be on there. Beautiful People. They just confirmed the Dudleys are going to be a part of it, and they haven't done anything together in I think 7 years. I think is what the tweet said. So Impact has a lot. Okay, so apparently Julia accepted at her defense today. So the match is Diana versus Giselle versus Momo Kogo versus Julia. Man, Momo Kogo, I had only seen her at the Resurgence show that she did when she was in the women's tournament, and she was really good. I was very impressed with her. I'm glad to see her in this because I really liked her.
And I think that we are planning on doing some bonus content here on Fight Game Media for that show because it's regardless of the fact that we don't have a specific thing, we do want to cover it because there are so many people on it. So there are plans in the works.
Yes, so stay tuned.
Keep it right here.
Yes, and to the Fight Game Media Twitter because it'll be announced there too when we get the who's involved, the time, and all that good stuff. But so
that good stuff.
New Japan's got a lot going on, which is always nice to see because we love New Japan. And so we will move over to AEW. As you know, the last few weeks we have spent a lot of time talking about the women's division. And so there have been some, I guess, improvements, I would say, in the women's division. Cautiously optimistic of some of the things that are happening over there. So they randomly announced a women's tournament to get to the match at All In. So sadly, we will not be getting Shida versus Emi Sakura like I wanted. I was very mad when I didn't see her in the tournament picture. They Wednesday night. So the match, it was obviously Shida versus Anna Jay had already been announced prior to Dynamite. And then during Dynamite, they were like, it's a tournament match now. What?
Yeah.
What tournament?
There's a tournament?
Yeah, what do you mean? And because Tony Storm gets a rematch, she gets a bye. Doesn't have to defend her spot. There were some complaints about why is Shida, she's the champion, why doesn't she have a bye? Well, because the match was already announced. So it was the winner of that match gets in because they just decided to make this tournament. Seems very last minute. It seems very reactionary to.
We have to get a women's match on that card somehow, Sam.
I mean, we gave you two. I mean, there's the very obvious rematch of just Sheeta versus Tony. We gave you Sheeta versus Emmy. So then we're gonna do
No,
a
we have
random
to do a four-way.
yeah, and so then Friday night we see, and so obviously once we see the tournament, it's very clear who is going to win each of the matches. Uh,
Appreciate.
and so Friday, Saraya beat Sky Blue. Sky Blue had the match won, but of course, we did some outcast shenanigans that we always do,
Mhm.
and Saraya obviously earned her. We knew Saraya was gonna be wrestling in the UK. That was obvious, and so then this week we on Dynamite we will have Britt Baker wrestling the bunny who was returning from injury. Very obvious who's going to win that match. So we have this random tournament where they've kind of just once again thrown it together with the women. It seems very reactionary to everything that's happened prior, even to the Lufisto stuff. It just seems like it's because there were articles that have been written about there's somebody from Body Slam, Astrid wrote a really great article around the same time we started having the first conversation about the women's division, and she was talking about some stuff that it got like a lot of traction and things like that. So they clear, and then there was obviously the sign of book the women's division better.
Mhm.
So they have booked the women in the main event. They main evented 3 times within 10 days. They did the AEW 200 show, last week's show, and then Rampage. Probably not main eventing on Wednesday, but maybe they will. It just feels very forced. And so, like, on the one hand, I'm happy to see the women main eventing, but on the other hand, it seems like, here, damn, stop complaining. Now, what are you going to complain about? I put them in the main event. Why are you complaining about a tournament? We're going to get four whole women be at All In. We don't know if the TBS title is going to be defended. Maybe we'll put it. I'm hoping at the very least Emmy makes it onto 0 Hour. I was like, do a 4-person match. Do an 8-person match on 0 Hour and put her on there. I mean, that's what they do anyway. And if you're going to focus on a lot of the originals, then Emmy has been there since day one, and so you could put her there. But yeah, so what are your thoughts and opinions on how they've been booking the women the last couple of weeks?
I'm a little worried because some of the main events have been down, and I know that we are not talking about ratings or anything like that,
Right.
but unfortunately it does play into it a little because people will start to be like, see, the ratings suck, so they shouldn't be in the main
Right.
event.
Oh, it's already started. I've already
And
seen
it's
it.
like, well, okay, but this is like the same argument, and we were going around where like the snake eating itself is the idea is that if you don't build the people up, then there's not going to be any interest in it. So
Right.
it's like you can't just smack a women's main event on your show and expect people to be excited about it necessarily. I mean, it's great that they're main eventing, but like, what's the story did you build up? You didn't. You
Right.
just slapped them into the main event because you
Right.
were sick and tired of. You're doing
Right.
what basically every corporation does when they're accused
Diversity.
of misogyny, which is to put a bunch of girls into things, move a bunch of girls around, set the girls up for failure, and when the girls fail, say, see, no one wants to see girls.
Right. Which
And
it's really,
I mean, it's like, no.
it's not how it works.
But that's, I mean, that's happened in comics. That's happened in sports. That's happened in everything. It's like, we're going to give you the worst time slot in the world. And and I'm not saying like there does need to be some onus on the talent to get over, but you can't get over if you're not on the TV to get over. So
Right.
I don't know what.
Right. And there was something, Jim Valley made a comment that I don't necessarily agree with, because he was talking about how because obviously Tony Storm is doing this kind of 50s actress character, which is really entertaining. But he was like, you have to maximize your minutes. But that's a WWE mindset. WWE got people in the mindset that women are only given 3 minutes. So it's up to them to maximize it, which is not fair. I mean, I get what he's saying to a point. You do want to maximize your minutes, but you're given, like we've talked about, and I know Jack Perry is an example we have used. Jack Perry gets all this TV time to work out this new character, to get promo, to learn how to cut a promo correctly. And sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. Darby struggled a little bit on the microphone as well. They're getting this time and stuff like that. So, and Tony was already over. Tony doesn't have to worry about. I mean, of course, I'm not saying she deserves less time. That's not my point. Is like she's already over. People are already going to pay attention to her. She was
They
just
should
your
be
champion until
using her
2
in
weeks
ways that
ago.
will help elevate other women around her so that she has people to compete
Yes.
with.
Exactly, which was another conversation we've talked about with the 4 horsewomen. They were always on this level, and then all the other women underneath them were never at, like, Asuka was not for a while. I know booking has changed somewhat, like, Bianca finally pushed through that, but it took a very long time
Right.
for somebody to get even close to being on their level because it was and you can't, of course you can't, but and I'm not saying that these women would be 4 horsewoman level women, but you have to give them the opportunity to it be the to excel, and you weren't doing that for a long time, and so it's kind of the same thing. You've got to get Tony and Jamie are 2 of the very best women that AEW has, so you have to give these other women the opportunity to, try to, and of course they're not going to necessarily be or surpass Jamie and things like that. But if you're, not you, if you keep booking them down, then they're not going to get to that level. And so, but yeah, but then, so on the other hand, like, so we see all this, but then the TBS title has a completely, they actually have a real story happening. Like, they've got,
Yeah,
so
finally.
you see, so like on Collision, we see it's been building the last couple of weeks. So obviously, Chris Statlander is the champion. She had a really great match with
Yeah, her
Mercedes
and Willow are
Martinez.
having a feud, and there's all
When
kinds of stuff
well,
going on,
well,
and
it was actually her and Mercedes
Mercedes.
Martinez are feuding, and they had a really, really great match. Not last night, but the week before. And then that led to, and then afterwards, Mercedes was beating her up. That led to Willow coming to save Chris Statlander. Diamante came down. They all got involved. Last night they had a
That was
tag
last
team.
night, yes.
Yeah, they last night they had the tag team match that was Chris and Willow versus Diamante and
Okay, that's
Mercedes.
yes, I was watching that last night,
Yeah,
yes.
and really great stuff that they're doing there, and they're starting to build some stuff. Then next week, I believe it's is next week Willow versus Diamante? I
Yes.
believe I believe is the match. I don't think it's Willow versus Mercedes. I think
No,
it's
it's
Diamante.
Diamante, I
So
remember.
they're pushing other women. They're pushing Diamante, who has been an ROH some, and obviously Mercedes was the ROH champion before Athena and had been out for some time with an injury. So it's nice to see, like, so they actually seem to be having a story happening. I don't want to get too excited because the last time I did that was when they did the Outcast stuff at the beginning, and then that ended up falling apart. So I don't want to get my hopes up, but I do want to acknowledge that there seems to be some things. And it felt like at first when Sheeta won, it felt like maybe they were kind of resetting things a little bit. Maybe not so much on Dynamite. I mean, I know they're probably also trying to let the story finish up with. I don't know that they'll. I can't tell. I don't know that they'll disband the Outcast once All Out is over, because obviously they're not gonna. Even with All In, All Out is a week later, so they can still do some stuff there. So it's like I don't know if they're gonna continue that, even though it's kind of dead. But maybe they have the Outcast kind of refocus and figure out, maybe they get them away from Britt and Willow and Sky Blue a little bit and maybe introduce some other women. I can't really tell where they're going with that yet. And I really hope that at All In, I hope that Sheeta is not a transitional champion. I don't think that she is, but some people think the reason they had Tony drop the belt to Sheeta was so that Saraya would not
Saraya.
have to beat Tony for the belt. I don't think Saraya is ready to be champion. I know she's been champion before, but Saraya is not on TV very often. She has been having some health issues that have kept her off TV. It's an ongoing issues that she's having. And I know that you could do the MJF thing where you just wrestle when you can.
When you feel like it.
MJF is an attraction. He wrestles when he feels like it. That got old real quick. So Saraya, I hope that's not the route that they're going. I don't want to see Saraya as champion for various reasons. But I really just I don't want them to screw Sheeta. Like you can't screw her. She's her last title reign was already screwed by the pandemic. Like you can't give her the title for a month and be like, okay, we did your redo. Now it's Saraya's turn. Like, I really, really hope that's not what's happening here. I don't think that it is. I think they're going to give Sheeta a proper title run. And so maybe a little bit of this is just some leftover WWE brain, just assuming that's what's going to happen. Hopefully it's not. But yeah, it just seems like I don't know. It seems like they can, and we've talked about this before. They've had good women's stuff before, but it seems like they can only book one good women's thing, and then everything else they just can't. So it seems like they're correctly doing the TBS championship, or seem to be. They've got multiple storylines happening over there.
But that's almost all on Collision and not on Dynamite or
Right.
Rampage.
Right.
I mean, there's a little bit of it, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's more story building going on with the women on Collision, it feels like, than
Yes.
there is on any other show.
And so and to add to that, it seems like Thunder Rosa is getting closer to a return.
I was watching that Doc Samson video with her, and he was saying something about her having a mini match to test.
She was supposed to have had a mini match last night. In Greensboro. I had friends who were there. They did one special match, they did some ROH matches, then they did a dark match prior to Collision starting. And I asked if it was Thunder Rosa, and he said no, it was the Guns versus the Infantry.
Oh.
So Thunder Rosa did not have, unless they did, I don't know unless they did a match back before fans got there. I don't know what they mean by it, because it said a mini match. So I assume, because they've been doing dark matches, I assume that that's what they did. Thunder Rosa did not wrestle last night. My friend said he never saw her. So I don't know if something happened or if they changed what they were doing. But so like Mel said, there was the clip saying they were going to do a mini match, see how that went. Then the next week they'll do something else. So it seems like her return is imminent. And so Andrade has also kind of hinted that maybe Thunder Rosa is going to be involved with him. And because in the tweet that he sent out right when Collision started, he kind of hinted that way, which I think would make sense, because Thunder Rosa said that she doesn't expect to be in the title picture right away, and she knows she may have to work her way back up. So if they're doing more outcast, I don't know exactly what's happening with the title over with Sheeta, what they're doing with that. And then clearly they've got the TBS title stuff happening. I wonder if they're going to bring Thunder Rosa back and have her feud with Julia, because Julia took Andrade's mask. They kind of keep harassing him a little bit. So I wondered if maybe that's what they're going to do. So again, but then that's still more Collision stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that, but they are kind of focusing the story on that one show rather than spreading it out among all three shows, which Rampage is getting some of the Outcast stuff as well. But yeah, so I do recognize the positive things that are happening, but the Collision stuff seems really good, and it seems organic, where the Dynamite stuff seems very forced,
tacked on, and shoehorned or tacked on is what it is.
Yes, and they're trying
to either we're trying to jam it in there, or we're tacking it on the end to be like, see, we give women main events.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, and yeah, do you have black friends too? Or I mean, because that's that argument, to me. I mean, that's what that is. That's like,
yeah.
And it doesn't speak well to the accusation is Tony doesn't care about the women. Right. So anytime we have this conversation where something like that happens, or it's like, okay, is that a product of the women sucking, or the product of the guy who hired them not caring about them functioning properly?
Right, because then he can say, well, look at Collision, look what we're doing with the TBS title. And then, oh, great.
Oh my God, that'll be great, because then we'll get actually, I mean, who cares? Like, Collision has kind of been not the better show, but it's kind of been the better show.
Some fans
I like the pace. I kind of like the pace and the presentation of Collision better. It might be just that old school nostalgia thing, but I think that it would be good for a few people to do time on there, maybe even Jack Perry, because those quick cutting of promos things that is old school, like Mid-South and territory type cut a promo run kind of deal. But it does teach people to like get in, get your point across, get over, get out. Like, and that's actually a valuable skill in certain situations. And I think it would help people on the mic.
Yeah, and
that's how they used to teach people. I mean, JR, like in his books, talks about how he would like sit at the TV station and do all the filming of everybody's like promos that they were going to air on whatever night that they were going to air them. And he's like, it's like 5 hours of me sitting here having everyone cut their promo and do the thing. But you get to see all those people. You're there. Like, The show, I like the pace, the
I love
intro,
the
the
pacing.
Saturday Night's All Right for
I
Fighting
love
thing.
yeah, I really like how they start
You
off each
know,
show.
you can't argue with Poppy, and I mean, I like it. I'm
Yeah,
an easy
it's
mark
a
for
lot of fun.
entertainment.
There are some, I don't think, the main event last night probably didn't need a whole half an hour.
Yeah.
That could have
It
been
dragged a little.
that could have been another women's match, could have been some women promos.
I
Could have
actually
been
did sort of phase out at the end. I was not
Yeah.
as involved in
And
the
then
main
and
event.
then it didn't help that the camera cut nearly missed, if you haven't watched
I
this,
am gonna punch
I'm
their
about to
camera
spoil
crew in the
something.
face.
Yeah.
I cannot. This
They
has happened
but
on. It
not
happened
only
on
did they
Dynamite where they missed a run in, completely missed a run in.
Yep.
The broadcasters are like, "Oh my god, it's Jack Perry or Darby Allin or something," and it's like, "Where?"
Yes.
And then the
So
camera's like, "Oh, cut over to there." I'm like, "Who is working the camera?"
yeah, so they last night, not only did they nearly
did it
missed
last night
Samoa Joe
too.
they nearly missed Samoa Joe choking out CM Punk, but they missed the finish of
Yes.
the main event. You made us
Yes.
watch that for half an hour, and you missed like, it's not like you didn't know it was coming. I know they told you it's not like Samoa Joe was like, "You know what? I'm gonna run in, and I'm gonna choke out CM Punk, and I'm not gonna tell anybody." Like, you
Right.
knew. What are you doing? 'Cause
No, it's
Nikki
bad. It's
we
been there. The
and it's
audio is always bad. They
yeah,
don't.
the
They
team
cannot figure their audio out to save their lives. I wish that like they could figure that one out. I don't. I
yeah,
don't understand how like the NFL. Tony is an NFL owner. Like
yeah,
they can mic the crowd properly, and those are
right.
like stadiums.
Yeah,
Okay, like that's
right.
not easy. And yet
No,
somehow you're
I
catching
told
like
you a few weeks
extras
ago,
from the
it's
ring when it doesn't matter, but you're not catching the audio that I need that's going on the ramp when
right.
people are having like throwdowns. So,
Yeah, yeah, but their camera cuts
but yeah,
are
no, they've had like
and they've been like this
they
for months,
messed
but
up
it seems like
three
it's getting
spots this week where the
yeah.
camera wasn't showing what was happening, where
Mhm,
it was like a big thing's happening and the
right.
broadcasters are talking about it. And I'm like, where's Waldo?
Yeah, and it was, well, and we even talked about how, like, in the Blood and Guts match, there was the moment where Kenny and Ibushi were, like, looking at each other, and they cut to
And they weren't
the
even,
other
like, showing it. You had to, like, go on the internet the next day to get, like,
yeah.
different I thought that
It's they
didn't
gotta
they
get that
hire a WWE guy to fix all their
that's
problems?
why I was joking about last week or the week before. I was like, "What do they do? How did Kevin Dunn infiltrate? Does he have
I don't even
does
think
he have
Kevin
a
Dunn
school
could
and
do
he's
this
teaching
bad.
is
Like,
Kevin
some of
Dunn
this is dumb. It's like, literally,
Kevin
you're not watching the biggest spot of the freaking match.
Well, they tell you. Like, I know that they're going over this beforehand, and I'm not saying your job's not hard, and I don't and but it's just getting out of control. And yeah,
It's
what
just
Brad
frustrating.
said last night, missing Joe and the finish was impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
no,
Nikki and
it's
I even talked about how hard
I mean,
CM
I guess Brad's not you're not wrong, Brad. If you're gonna screw up, screw all the way up.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because Nikki and I were both
Go
talking
big
about
or go home.
we were talking about how hard CM Punk came out of the ring and then like he was like rolling, I guess, to get into position. He was like rolling kind of down the barricade. And we were like, why is he hitting it so hard? And it was, I guess he was getting in position for Joe, but we nearly missed all of it because
My God.
it's like you're trying to sell a match for the biggest show you've ever had and you nearly missed all of it.
Well, and you're selling 2 pay-per-views in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Like, that's
right.
the other thing too, is like they are starting to do tiny bits of build to All Out as well. So they added a match at least for hang on, I'm
Right.
gonna open this door real quick so that
Okay.
the doggies, you guys are gonna get to see some inside baseball. It'll be loud, maybe. Hang on.
Do what you gotta do. These animals are always trying to. I mean, we have Puppet Up Barks. Daza said he's got to go, but it's fun as always. Thanks, Daza. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hopefully will see you next
Oh,
week.
thanks for being here, Daza. Sorry, you guys got some inside baseball there in my
But and then so I mean and then well yeah, speaking of all in and all
and
out.
she's there you go.
Hello. Listen, we hear Puppet Up all the time. Miley was barking earlier. I'm sure it caught her. I'm sure she got caught on here. but yeah, so then of course now because of all of this, there has been some more discourse because what is wrestling internet? Oh, I was gonna say wrestling Twitter, but I think it's everywhere that people are talking about wrestling. So now there's some discourse too about All In and All Out and how people are mad about All Out. They're apparently the rumored 6-man match that might be happening now with uh Bullet Club Gold and Kenny and stuff like that. They so people are they're mad about that, and they're mad that there's not just I guess the way All In is being they fantasy I think what happened is people fantasy booked All In their heads, and then it's nothing like that, so now they're mad about it, of
It's the
course.
exact same thing that happened the first time, especially, but it still even happened this year with Forbidden Door. People get it in their head that they're going to get these things that they want in their head. And when they don't get them, they're like faux disappointed. There was never any plan for that, probably, like anything like that. It's like, I. I don't think people understand the logistics of putting together a large production.
Well, and then I think once it was pointed out to me a couple of weeks ago that they are giving the UK fans the AEW experience that they have not had yet. So they are
Correct.
booking specific people. That's kind of why. I mean, part of it is the AEW 200, they were building up on focus on some of the originals, but then that's kind of it's also to prepare them for what's going to happen at all in. There are going to be some focus on certain people because the UK has never had an AEW show
Right.
before. And so they are giving them. So, yeah, I mean, and it's still a rumored match of Chris Jericho and Will Ospreay. Like, I personally don't want to see that. However, you have to, I understand why they want to put Will Ospreay on this card. Will Ospreay will be a free agent soon. He's heavily rumored to be joining AEW at some
Well,
point.
he just turned the US championship into the UK championship.
Yes,
So, in
right.
theory, he could be having a match for the UK tournament, and you could do all sorts of crazy
Right,
BS
and
with
so that's what
that.
I told Nikki. I was like, "Oh, so
Because, like,
Chris
could win
Jericho's gonna be the
that
first
in
challenger."
like, Jericho could win that in Wembley, and Will Ospreay could win it back from him a week later. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
So, and it's funny because I saw CM Punk's story this morning, and he screenshot Will Ospreay having the belt, and he said, "You can't just do that to a belt and claim it's yours."
yeah, right.
He's like, "I hope Inoki
Oh,
fires you."
really?
Yeah, I thought was really funny
That's
that
pretty
I was like,
funny,
so
actually. I'll give him
there are
that
now
one.
3 titles because I was like, there's the Will title, CM Punk's title, and then Christian, who will not give the TNT title.
Oh, right, who right, is the TNT champion, but isn't the TNT
Yeah,
champion
right.
at
So I was
all.
like, we have all these stories happening right now. But yeah, so I was like, so I understand, like, Jericho's not necessarily somebody I want to see involved in these stories, but if that's what I mean, the UK fans
He
probably
is
they
the
want
first champion. I mean, he's
he
the first
is,
AEW champion. Like,
and
he
he's
kinda has
the
to be on the show.
and he is the UK fans probably want to sing Judas. They've
I
not been able.
actually
They
you'll
like to sing. We know we've seen it. They like to
I
sing.
I said to Bob, that's the only way that he'll get to hear 80,000 people sing Judas at Wembley Stadium.
Listen, I'm sure he'll take it.
I was like, he's trying to get that he's trying to get that experience.
Yeah, but I mean, people haven't seen, and yeah, Jericho is 15 to 20 years ago, but a lot of these people haven't seen him outside of WWE. So there are people who will want to see that. And Brad pointed out that Jericho is a dream match for Will, and he's talked about it
Oh,
before.
okay.
So
Okay.
sure.
Why not?
Um,
I mean, it's a fun match. I don't see how you don't give the fans the chance to sing Judas, and
yeah, and then
it's a big
I'm
deal.
sure,
It may
and now
seem
we've
kind of petty to all of us, but we're like, here, it's on our
yeah.
time. Like we do it. I've done it like 10 times now. So it's just like
Right, and then, like, we saw the match because we knew Sting was I mean, because you can't have this card and not have Sting on it because
oh yeah.
the UK fans haven't seen Sting in a very long time, and so they're gonna, and so now we've got it where it's Sting and Darby versus, Swerve and AR Fox, which is really cool. I just don't know why Nick Wayne is not in this match. I was like, "Well, what? Why is Nick Wayne not in this match?"
Yeah.
I don't know what their reasoning for that. I haven't been. I was like, I don't think it's a visa issue because he just came back from Japan like a month before he debuted in AEW. He was in Japan, so I was like, maybe he'll still be there. Maybe he'll be involved somehow.
I
Maybe
feel
he's just
like
not
he'll
in a
be there,
match.
but I don't think that he's gonna. I
Yeah,
mean, there's like this card can only have so many people on it,
yeah.
so
I mean,
I
just
think
because of the story they were telling, but
yeah,
I can
agreed.
see, especially because we are. This is the thing with booking two shows like this. Darby is in two separate storylines. Like
Yep.
Darby is weeks ago challenged Luchasaurus slash Christian for the
Right.
TBS championship for All
He's
Out.
in the
So
TV.
now
He
he
is the
has
TNT championship, and he's doing the other
he's
thing
doing
too.
this. Samoa Joe has two feuds. He's got one in ROH with, well, mostly Dalton Castle. He's getting ready to it's like he's going to wrestle Shane Taylor for his title,
He's the
but
TV title champ,
we don't
right?
even know when that's going to happen. But now he's challenging CM Punk for Wembley, which I understand. So you're booking two shows, and then so now some women who can't even get one feud, and then you've got men in two different feuds. But it is the product of booking two shows back to back. But so I've seen a lot of discourse about like people are mad about it, and like Brad said,
Oh,
where is
sorry,
this?
you
No,
paused
it's
it.
okay. Brad had this great said, I'm so pissed that Tony isn't booking what I'm thinking about.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Why isn't
And
he
I mean
booking
there is right
exactly what I thought?
and there is listen, there's rightful criticism. We've criticized stuff with
Like,
AEW all
there's
the time.
criticism, and then there's being an angry brat on the internet who's not getting their own way. Like, wrestling fans are so spoiled right now. Y'all need to take a second and look around and realize how good it is right now. It's like it's so good that people are looking for things to complain about is basically where we're at here.
Yeah. And again, like there are certain things that I don't want to see, but it's not necessarily for me. And it is for the UK fans. They have not gotten
It
to see
has to
AEW.
be.
And so that's how I have to when I look at stuff, I have to focus on it that way, as in these are not I mean, there are some storyline things on All In,
Of course.
clearly, because we're seeing like the Swerve and AR Fox is a perfect example of that the match with Darby and Singh is clearly, so some of it is pure story is storyline driven, but some of that is just being saved for All Out the following week. um and now I do I can't tell what they're doing with the Aussie Open NJF Adam Cole match.
Yeah, I
I
don't know.
think they are going to I do think they're going to put the tag team titles on them, even if it's temporarily. I think fans don't want them to break up. So what you can't take can't take the titles off of FTR to give to them. So ROH is your recourse. However, Aussie Open literally just won those
Just
titles
won
at
it.
Death Before Dishonor. That was the only title change at Death Before Dishonor. Aussie Open was probably going to win them sooner, but then Mark got hurt. And so if you're I mean, I know you kind of have to I mean, I guess they probably didn't necessarily know that Adam Cole and MJF was going to catch fire like it did, but then then they should have just had Lucha Bros hold the titles up until then and have them do it. But again, I don't maybe they just didn't realize what they were, that they were going to catch fire. So I can't tell if they're just going to cash in on how hot they are and kind of call an audible like they did with the Acclaimed, and they're just gonna take the titles off of Aussie Open. I mean, maybe they do. Of course, there's been the theories that yes, they'll take the titles, but then they'll still turn. Adam Cole will still turn on him in the main event, and like they'll still split up regardless. But then. How does Aussie Open get the ROH titles? Like, if they're split up, then what do they just vacate the titles?
See, to
And
me,
then
it feels like they lose the titles to Aussie Open in some weird way, and that leads to a bigger story for the main event. That's Tony. That's what I'm thinking. So that's what you need to book. No, seriously though, but for actual, it seems a little obvious that they would maybe win. So maybe they won't win because maybe it will really push the turn at the main event that we all expect.
Then I also have been wondering, if they do win the ROH
Like,
titles,
what if, like, Adam
obviously
Cole, like, helps Mark Davis do something or something, like, sneakily?
yeah, this is what I was gonna bring up because, yeah, Roderick Strong. So this is
Yeah,
what
or
because then
Roddy.
I've wondered if they win the tag team titles. We've talked about this last week. We don't know how close Kyle O'Reilly is to returning.
Right?
Does he return at All In? And then him and Roddy team up against Adam, and like they team up against Adam and MJF, and then that's
And
how, and
beat
then
them for
they
the
get the
titles.
ROH titles. Is that what they were both ROH guys? Obviously, and Red Dragon, which was obviously Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, they were tag team champions. Then there's the stuff with the Kingdom that they've been hinting at. The Kingdom is, you see, because I always joke about how Adam Cole has a lot of boyfriends. So then you see his ex boyfriends in the Kingdom consoling one of his boyfriends, Roderick Strong. So it feels like something is brewing with the Kingdom. Adam Cole was in the Kingdom, which is why some people think the heel turn is coming there, which is possible. So which is nice that I guess that we can't really figure out what they're doing. But then on the other hand, I don't want Aussie Open to get screwed because Aussie Open is one of the
That's
best
my
tag
biggest
teams.
hang up right now on it.
Like Aussie Open is one of the best tag teams out
And
there.
Mark just got back from being hurt,
argue,
and they were on such fire, and they did so great in singles in the New Japan Cup. And I got to see. I mean, I was so excited. It sucked that he was injured because I know that we were probably going to see them at Indoor, but I at least got to see Kyle at Dynamite.
They had both the belts. Yeah, they were 2 belts over there. Aussie Open 2 belts, and so I just, I don't.
They're great. I love those
they're
two.
great. They're one of my favorite tag teams. So I don't want them getting screwed. But on the other hand, the Adam Cole MJF stuff is going really hot. And like you said, them winning in 0 Hour could play into the main event, which a lot of people also kind of think is happening as well. So I can't, I really don't know what they're doing. Which I guess is a good thing.
I hope it's good. I mean,
yes. And so Brad said, I'm thinking the Kingdom calls MJF and Cole to lose to add heat to the main event since MJF thinks Cole is with them. That's certainly possible. Yes, and they could get Roddy in on it. Roddy the Kingdom could convince Roddy to do something or have him be out there with them.
They sure are using Roddy a lot in a very specific role. He always is coming out at a very specific point in when he's not just randomly showing up. He's showing up when he's like, these agreements keep getting made, and he's like, "You're cut it out." He's like, it's like when your friend is being ridiculous, and you're just like, "You're being nuts. Look at me. Put your eyes right here. Look me in the eye, okay? You're being nuts. Like, this guy he's a bad guy."
So it seems, but I do think when the Kingdom are heels, I do think, I don't know.
There's so much heel that it's hard to know.
There's been people who have argued that Adam Cole should not be a heel right now because he came back as a baby face. They finally got Britt to turn baby face. But I was like, their stories aren't, they're not overlapping anymore since Jericho beat down Adam Cole and that whole thing. Like they haven't, their stories don't overlap. So I think it would be fine if she
always need to. I mean, just because they're together.
Yeah, and I was like, she can stay
baby to like do that all the time.
Right. And I was like, she can stay a baby face if he turns heel. Like it doesn't, it's, it is what it is. And so the one thing I will say, I want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but there have been some podcasters this week. One of them with a really big platform. Actually, 2 of them, I think. I think the other people have a big platform too, who have suggested that Adam Cole do a hate crime and to hit MJF with quarters to beat him.
Yeah, I saw all of this.
No.
This was
no. It is no. This is a terrible idea. This is not how we get heat in 2023.
I think that was said in not like malicious ignorance, but I believe
but
I believe that if you are thinking in the right terms, you understand the combination of the.
I don't think that because I talked to somebody actually because they saw my tweet about it and they messaged me and were just saying that they don't necessarily believe that person is racist. However, it is becoming comments like that are not mainstream, but I guess people don't make the connection
The
between the
connection.
two because it's become more normalized, and that's a problem. And so we have to it has to be pushed back against.
And I'm fine with
Um,
that. I am all about saying to somebody, hey, what you just said is like anti-Semitic.
yes.
The word that no one wants to say this week. Oh my
Right.
God, I just said it. Which is what essentially people were saying, that without saying, were passively aggressively suggesting that Brian Alvarez was. And
Right. And I'm right.
And it's like, look, I'm not saying what he said was well thought out. I don't think it was malicious, but I don't think it was well thought out. And I don't have a problem with people saying, hey, dude, make this connection.
What you said, whether you are anti-Semitic yourself, what you said and suggested is
anti-Semitic because of the connection. And I'm really sorry that you didn't understand that why he was saying that was because of this. And that's unfortunate. And that is a lack of education on America's part. We do not allow, like, we way too
Right.
often. And that's another word that gets thrown at people the wrong way. So it becomes, it's like the word, the NAZI word that people like to use to sort of blanket accuse people of being, when they really mean something like white supremacy or something like that. But I mean, in the end of the day, it's like, I do believe that some influencers on wrestling Twitter blew that out of proportion in the wrong way. I think that instead of using it as a teachable moment, they used it as a way of being like, look at this racist over here, or this.
I mean, I think that some people, and I mean, I guess you could say that, but there were a lot of people who were calling him on it, and you should be called out for it.
You can call him on
it. It is, at a person of his age should know that is anti-Semitic.
Well, the idea, I mean, the fact that Max was saying it when Max was using it in his the context he used it in the original promo that he used it in when they did that.
Right.
He was saying it with the Jew boy thing. So as someone, obviously,
so
we just talked about it earlier on the show. So he's already made the connection that that's essentially anti-Semitic.
He made it for the audience. And so it's unfortunate that happened. But that should absolutely not be suggested.
But I also don't think, like, calling that unmasking and using terminology like that
was inappropriate, and I don't want to even bring that part into it.
The problem is
that's not the focus. The focus is on the suggestion, and that doesn't need to be. And he's not the only one who suggested it. I believe some people from another large podcast suggested the same thing. And so I want that.
So not seeing the lack of, so using it as a teachable moment is fine. Using it as a way of saying somebody is something that they are not, and then getting your followers to dogpile by dog whistling, that's worse, because that is the kind of behavior that's helping to minimize people's understanding of why suggesting something like that is wrong.
Right. But I mean, the whole thing, but I don't, which is fair. All of that, what you said is fair, but I don't want to lose sight of the fact of the reason the comment that statement, which should not have been made, was even made, is because what was suggested is a problem, and that doesn't need to be minimized.
And I do agree with that part.
So, and again, and so, but yeah,
but of course that gets lost in the discourse.
Sure. Which is why I wanted to point out, it does get lost in the discourse, which is so I wanted to bring it back to that, because that should not have been suggested for any reason, and it is.
And to me, that makes it, that you're perpetuating it, you're not helping it. That to me is, there's a difference between saying, hey dude, that's a really shitty thing, and that is totally, like, that is prejudice.
Right.
And saying that somebody is something that they just,
Sure.
I mean, that's not using that as an opportunity to capitalize on like dividing people is not the way that that should have been
No.
handled by
No.
some other big named
Yeah.
people on the
Yeah.
Twitters and so
Right.
forth. So I think
Sure.
honestly, the whole thing shows how bad it's gotten in America that we have
Mhm.
to go like this should be a no-brainer for everyone and there shouldn't be any
Yeah.
accusations
Right.
of anything.
Yeah.
There
Right.
shouldn't have even been a conversation
Right.
because even when he cut the promo in the first place, he was cutting it to let you know this is very, very prejudiced.
Right. Yes,
This is
exactly.
like we get
So
Shylock and we get these things and then the quarters and that's all anti-Semitic symbolism.
right.
That's symbolism. Like
Right.
that's the kinds of things that people face.
And they still do.
And
Which I can't
I agree
imagine
with the
because
entire I agree that we should all be facing the fact that it's become way too easy.
well,
Just like with
it's
racist
become
language and all
normalized
kinds
where
of other stuff.
people don't even realize what they're saying,
It
what they're suggesting is anti-Semitic. Because again, there was
Yep.
another podcast. I saw some people say they thought it was
I only
from
heard one, so I can
no,
only
there was
speak to
no, there was
one.
a different podcast who also suggested it. I saw the clip of it, I believe. I don't necessarily want to call that I because I think it was attributed to another podcast, but I don't know for sure if that's actually the podcast that came from. I did see the clip, but I'm not familiar with those podcasters, so I can't confirm that
I'm
that's
not
what.
yeah, and I'm not gonna
But
sit here and say names
there
because
was another large podcast in Europe that
okay.
suggested the exact same thing. There was a clip and they suggested did not make the connection that what they were suggesting was anti-Semitic. So there are two, that's what I was saying. There's two very big podcasts in two different countries who have suggested this. I've heard that also that Bully Ray suggested it, but Bully Ray suggests everything for Heat. So I'm not surprised that
Well,
he
Bully Ray
suggested
isn't
it as well.
exactly a
Right. So I was
brain
like, I'm
big
not
brain
surprised.
genius on these sorts of things.
Right. So
So,
yeah,
good.
so hopefully
Well,
that's not where that's going. I hope that they would never let it get to that point, and I don't think that. First of all, I don't think MJF would ever agree to it, but I don't think that Tony would agree to that either.
I
I
just
don't
don't
think.
it's too
I don't
bad.
think
It's
Adam
really
Cole. I don't think Adam Cole would do that. Someone pointed out that Roddy's wife is Jewish, so just be bad for so many reasons. So hopefully that's not where that
yeah,
was. Yeah.
yeah.
So people hopefully will
Hard
not
no,
suggesting.
folks.
Maybe people will take a second, realize what they're suggesting before they suggest things like that in
Yeah,
the future.
agree. I
Hopefully,
mean,
hopefully now, if anybody learned anything from that situation, is that you stop and think about what you are suggesting before you say it or tweet it or whatever. But yeah, and Juice does do the quarters, but he as far as but in a different way, and he's not throwing at them at somebody because they're Jewish, which is what they are suggesting, that Adam Cole take one of the worst moments of MJF's life where he was beaten up and ridiculed for being Jewish.
well, I mean, essentially that is I don't want to but that is hate speech.
Yeah,
I
it is
mean,
hate speech.
that's
It's also a hate crime.
I mean,
Even if
the
I know
closer
it's a
you get to
storyline
when
and
you
it's
start
wrestling.
getting but I mean, I don't want to be the thought police and the speech police and all that stuff, but that is hate speech. That
It
is
is.
that's like just running around saying all this people should it's just not a good thing. It's just
Right.
not.
No. No, not at all.
And
And so
it's
hopefully
very unfortunate. What is this like scariest and saddest part is that people are no longer making those connections the way that they should.
right.
Because that to me says that's not being taught in school and we're not being reminded on the daily that we need to remember like this was not something that happened in a vacuum. It happened as a
Right.
result of a lot of the things that are going
Right.
on right
And
now.
it still happened recently enough because MJF is what, 26, 25, 26 years old. And so if
So
that was happening to him 15 years ago,
plus we
like
don't like it's like the last thing we need in the world right now is to have that like sully a big
and you can't do that at your big first of all, you can't do it. You shouldn't do it at all. But and the biggest show you've ever had in your entire
I just
company.
don't think any of them would have even thought about that. It's very
I don't think they would
weird to
have
me.
either, but
I
that's
don't
why.
think that
But
would have
it
ever
came.
even
But
crossed
the
their
suggestion
mind.
it's that the suggestion came from multiple people.
Yeah.
Like that's the issue. That that's a problem, and not that and I don't think it. And that's not something that again, like I don't think Tony would approve it. I don't think MJF or Adam would approve it or
It's just
want to do it.
disappointing.
But it's people who are suggesting it and then not realize what they are suggesting when
Yeah.
they're doing it.
Like
Which
the scope
again,
of it.
yeah, right. So
All right.
but yeah, so I think we hit all of our topics this week. I do want to remind you if you came in late that
Yeah, let's end on an up note, damn it.
that at 5:30 speaking of Strong Style will be live streaming their G1 Climax 33 post show. If you have not watched it, then you might want to wait and check it out on a replay after you've watched it, because that's probably what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'll be able to watch it before 5:30. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just skip right to the main event and watch it and then listen
Like
to
I
what they
did.
have to
Yeah.
say. But definitely make sure you check that out. They have super chats a bit, you could do the super chat with them as well. And then tomorrow Jeremy will also be live. I believe that is at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. I may have gotten that wrong. There's a lot of shows happening tomorrow.
Wait,
But
Scott
this
is
week.
live.
It
Scott's
is
live
live.
tomorrow.
It is. Scott is definitely live tomorrow night. I just don't remember for sure. If I believe
We'll retweet it and follow the Fight Game Media.
but it is
Twitter as
definitely
well.
live tomorrow night. He will be doing his Stardom X Stardom 2023 review. So definitely make sure that you check that out and support it. There will be some more live content coming your way on YouTube. And if you missed at the beginning, we will be doing a live pre-show early on the 27th. We will be doing, instead of our normal 1 p.m., we will be doing 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, so that we can get you out of here before 0 hour starts. And we will obviously remind you about that next week as well. But we wanted to go ahead and give you a couple of weeks notice so that you would know that we'll be here early. And then, of course, we will be doing the all out pre-show, but at our normal Sunday 1 o'clock time. And make sure that you're following
pre-shows.
So Colin says, so Josiah's telling me he's trying not to spoil over here. Don't read my comments. No, I know I'm not. I'm gonna.
Sam hasn't seen the result yet.
No, I'm probably gonna stay out of Slack too, Josiah. I'm trying to stay off Twitter as well. And then Colin said, probably just skip to the main event, Sam. It's all tags beforehand. Yeah,
That's what I
was like,
did.
unless there's anything major and I was like, if there is anything major that happened, I was like, it's not like I can't.
You'll find out about it later.
Yeah, that's exactly. So I was like, the main thing.
That was my feeling too. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch the main event before this because I really want to know. Again, I really just wanted to know. I didn't want it spoiled. Yeah, exactly.
Is this in Slack, Josiah? I will stay away from Slack. I did see, because I saw this morning that Josiah had been watching it I saw it in Slack, and I was like, and he didn't spoil it then, but apparently he's been chatting about it somewhere where I follow him. So we'll not open Slack.
It's hard. Yeah, no, this is why I stayed off Twitter.
Listen, I might just have to watch the main event like the next hour.
Just went straight to the main event. Like I said, I watched the United Kingdom versus
Lord Josiah. Josiah said Slack and
the Sonata guys. LIJ. I watched LIJ versus United Empire because that was I just enjoyed it, and the stuff with Will and Shingo and the stuff with Will and there's two people, and Will and Suji were both really good. So
okay.
Yes. It was one of those things where I was rolling through. I realized I was on there, and it was like so good that I was like, oh, I'm gonna I just ended up watching but that was like the only tag I watched was that.
Okay. Yeah.
And a little of the TMDK stuff because I love just seeing them for a few minutes and hearing their music.
They're fun. I enjoy them. And then I saw the stuff like we saw with Hanare calling out Eddie Kingston last night. I was like, that'll be fun. I was like, that seems Hanare.
But that's all like stuff you can get on the backstage.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just switch. Yes,
and there wasn't even I thought I waited around until the end because a lot of times there's stuff on the end part, and there really was nothing at the end at all. So it wasn't one of those finals where I to me anyway, I mean, I didn't having not watched the whole thing, but I don't get the impression this was one of those shows because a lot of times on the final, like you have to
Yeah,
watch
they'll
the whole
always
thing.
do that's yeah, they always it seems like there's,
But
like,
it
something else other than the main event that happens, and there's something that some
but it doesn't
surprise
seem like
person comes
that to the
back
best
where
of my now I can go looking because I know the
Right.
results, but
Well,
so
then
far
tell
I
me if
haven't
I
seen a
guess
lot of
if you
that.
happen to come across anything, let me know if there's
I
something
will,
I might wanna check out. Then
definitely.
if not, I might just have to go watch the main event before they go live at 5:30, but yes. So,
Yeah.
we will be back next week. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we'll see you soon.
We will see you next time. What'd I do? End the broadcast.